beautiful evening here in Pittsburgh, and we have a National League Central showdown. The first place Chicago Cubs take on the surging Pittsburgh Pirates. It's baseball night in America on Fox. Hello, everyone. Along with C.J. Nitkowski, I'm Len Kasper. The Chicago Cubs got off to a sizzling start, 47-20. They've dropped now 14 of their last 19. Any reason for any major concerns?
Not really, no. When you look at this starting rotation, yes, they have struggled a little bit lately, but everybody in that rotation is healthy, and especially at the top, there are long track records there. Nothing to worry about for me with the Chicago Cubs. They also have an MVP candidate right now in Kris Bryant, and a lot of times we worry about sophomore slumps with guys that had good years as a rookie. Not the case at all with Kris Bryant. 25 home runs already this year. He had 26 the entire season last year, and we've also seen that strikeout rate come down, which has been some good news.
The Pirates are 3 games over 500. They've been a wild card team each of the last 3 years. Kind of an up and down year, but they are trending in the right direction.
They certainly are. Unfortunately for them, the Chicago Cubs are in their division, and their best chance of getting back to the postseason will likely be a wild card. But they also have maybe the most underrated player in Major League Baseball in left fielder Starling Marte, who got the news that he is going to be an all-star now for the first time this year. So congratulations to Starling Marte. But you talk about a guy who does it well, all sides of the ball, plays great defense, can steal you some bases, and he is enjoying a career year offensively.
And one of his NL teammates, Jon Lester, will start for the Cubs. Chad Kuhl for the Pirates. We may see as many as 7 National League All-Stars participate in this one tonight. It's baseball night in America. Coming up next on Fox. C Park on what has turned into a beautiful evening. 80 degrees. We got a brief downpour about an hour ago, but the grounds crew never did put the tarp on the infield. And our amateur staff meteorologist C.J. Nitkowski says we are in the clear the rest of the night. Let's check in on the Chicago Cubs starting 9. Tommy La Stella will be in the leadoff spot. followed by some all-stars, Bryant, Rizzo, and Zobrist. Rookie Wilson Contreras catching tonight for John Lester for the first time. Jason Hayward has had a tough time offensively in his first year as a Cub. More on that later. Russell, an all-star, the shortstop. Javier Baez will hit 8th in front of the pitcher Lester. And they will face a young right-hander making just his 3rd major league start. He's got a great name, Chad Kuhl.
You can't do any better than that. That's got to be a fun one growing up with, but it's been an interesting start to his career. He beats Clayton Kershaw. There are not a lot of major league pitchers that can say that they've beaten Clayton Kershaw going head-to-head, but an opportunity here for Chad Kuhl to fill in this rotation. We've had some injuries with Garrett Cole. Basically, it's going to be a 2-pitch mix. It's fastball, slider. Now, it's 2 different kinds of fastballs, the 4-seamer and the sinker. He does have a changeup as well, but it is that sinker that is his best pitch, and he pitches at a really great pace, meaning he moves very quickly in between pitches, which is fantastic when you are playing behind your pitcher, and he does that. It keeps the defense fresh. It keeps them involved in the game. Very interesting guy, but the thing to keep an eye on for me is the good tilt on the sinker when he stays on top of it and drives it down. It's got very, very good movement, moving away from those righties and in toward those lefts.
Let's check in on the Pirates defensively. We'll start in the outfield, left to right. Starling Marte found out earlier today he will be an all-star for the first time. Andrew McCutchen, first time he hasn't been an all-star in a while. Sean Rodriguez plays everywhere. He's in right. Gong, Mercer, Harrison, Freese third to first. Eric Fryer, the catcher. And 23-year-old right-hander Chad Kuhl ready to face the Chicago Cubs for the first time. Cubs are 7.5 games up on the Cardinals and the Pirates, who are tied for second. And we are underway. Fastball misses outside for ball 1. Stella playing second base. Both teams have a lot of defensive versatility, particularly Joe Madden's team. Stella can play second or third. Javier Baez moves all over the infield. Swing and a miss.
They also brought in maybe the most recognizable super utility player in Ben Zobrist, maybe the first of the group to get that big contract. And there's a lot of value now in Major League Baseball in having players that have the ability to play around the field. It gives your manager lots of options.
Stella stays alive. It's 1-2. John Neese originally was supposed to start tonight for the Pirates. A little bit of a left knee issue, so he was pushed back to tomorrow. And another 1-2 swing and a miss, strike 3. So Kuhl off to a good start.
Well, this is the slider. We saw a bunch of fastballs through the at bat, but here comes the slider. We call that the back foot one, where you're finishing it down and in for a right-handed pitcher, dropping it on the lefty. Great execution in that count for Chad Kuhl.
Now an MVP candidate, Chris Bryant. Second year in the league, rookie of the year and all-star last year. He'll start for the NL at third base, but he's playing left.
Another guy, you talk about versatility, and he is an MVP candidate without a doubt, but he has pretty much split his time as far as his starts go between left field and third base. Again, not an easy thing to do, and it has not disrupted his offense at all.
So leads the National League in homers, third in RBIs. The rate stats excellent. He has hit well in this ballpark, .393 in his career, but has yet to homer here.
And he didn't like that call, but I tell you, that's a strike right there. Chad Kuhl, excellent command so far through a batter and a half here, painting that fastball. Watch this four-seamer, no movement, stays straight. Excellent location.
Working quickly, as a lot of sinker ballers do. And that's low and outside. The kids are coming. Tyler Glasnow has made his major league debut. Jameson Taillon, Stephen Brault, Kuhl. It's a bit of a transition period for this Pirates rotation. They've used 11 starters already, used only 8 all of last year.
And the idea that they can stay in contention while they're using young players is an ideal position to be in. Not very many teams can do that, but they have done a great job of locking up their stars. They're all here to team-friendly deals, and when a need comes up, because the system is so strong, they're able to slide those guys in without missing a beat.
Anthony Rizzo on deck, just underway. Pirates took the opener last night. And another 3-2. Fights it off.
He's making some very good pitches right here. Chad Kuhl is against a very good hitter. And something that Clint Hurdle told us earlier today was that he loves how this kid is such a competitor, and he loves his makeup. And those are two things that are not easy to teach. Those are the intangibles that you look for in young players. And according to his manager, Chad Kuhl has them.
Close. Ball 4. So Bryant didn't like a pitch earlier in the sequence, and Kuhl didn't like that one.
I'll tell you what, this was a close pitch right here. Chad Kuhl absolutely wanted it. They actually tried to go in. The ball finished middle over the plate. The call is likely down. It's pretty close, but now for Chad Kuhl, he has to understand that he's not going to be getting that call at the bottom of the knee. And so, like any hitter wants to do against a good sinker ball pitcher, he's forced to bring that ball up just a little bit.
Now Rizzo, an all-star for the 3rd consecutive year. He got more fan votes than any player in the National League. By the way, it's veteran crew chief Larry Vanover calling those balls and strikes. And 0-1 on Rizzo. Pirates shift a fair amount. Gong is way off the line at 3rd. Double play depth up the middle. Mercer not too far from 2nd. And Rizzo sends a towering fly ball to right. Sean Rodriguez back at the warning track. He's got it right in front of the barrier for the 2nd out in the inning. Chad Kuhl saying, whew.
I'll tell you what, I thought Anthony Rizzo got this ball, and obviously he just missed it. You see the location trying to go in. This ball finishes out over the middle of the plate. Exactly what Anthony Rizzo wanted. It's a beautiful swing that he has from the left side. And off the bat for us, I thought this had a chance to get out of here. Sean Rodriguez obviously knew it was not, and does a great job of tracking that ball in deep right center.
Rizzo, who hit a go-ahead homer last night, thought he had another one here. And it's Ben Zobrist, first year as a Cub, 3rd time as an all-star. He'll be the starting 2nd baseman for the National League. Twice with Tampa Bay under Joe Madden. In the American League, he was an all-star. He hits one deep to right, and this one will get out. A 2-run homer for Zobrist. And the Cubs strike first.
Well, the middle of this Cubs lineup, the lefties especially, and Anthony Rizzo and Ben Zobrist have gotten great swings against Chad Kuhl. We saw Rizzo just miss that home run in his last at-bat or the previous at-bat. And there we see Ben Zobrist not miss this one. Here comes this pitch right here. Another fastball. We talked about the command early, but all of a sudden now he is missing over the heart of the plate. Ben Zobrist didn't miss any of that baseball.
So Zobrist with number 13. Swing and a miss by Wilson Contreras. Rookie catcher is 21 games into his career. A sinker baller, but Kuhl has given up more line drives and fly balls than he would like here early on.
And that's not what you expect when you see a guy, especially with this kind of velocity, who can get that kind of movement. That tells you that he may be getting around those pitches just a little bit.
There's a line drive base hit for Contreras. And that will keep the inning alive for Jason Hayward.
See Ben Zobrist getting every bit of this baseball from splash cam. Not quite over and out, but certainly a bomb in this ballpark.
Pirates pitching coach Ray Searage will make an early visit. CJ, the Pirates have been really good lately. They've won 8 of their last 9. Their bullpen has been a big part of that, but it has been used a lot.
They're not getting a ton of deep starts.
And that's always a concern, especially this time of year when you start to have those kind of runs where your starters are not going deep. You're kind of limping into the All-Star break and looking forward to getting there and resetting. But when you build your bullpen, you build it with the idea in mind that you're going to get good outings from your starters, and you build it to win, starting in toward the back end of the 6th inning in 7, 8, 9, as we see so many teams do. When the starters don't do that part, their part, things start to get a little bit unraveled. I think we've seen that with the Pirates, but they have been able to sustain that. They've still been able to win despite the fact that they're not getting those long outings.
See what that bullpen has done here lately, and even with their starters struggling, they've still been able to win a lot of games. Pitch to Hayward, and he fouls back for strike one. Hayward began the year hitting second. He recently moved down to the 6th spot. And he's had some success there. Joe Maddon has had to tweak his lineup a fair amount with Dexter Fowler on the disabled list. This could be trouble for Gong. He'll barehand it and he'll hold it, and it's an infield hit for Hayward. That is a shift hit. I say that very, very carefully.
Well, Jason Hayward will take the base hits when he can get them. You've talked about some of the offensive struggles that he has had this year, but this is a frustrating moment right here for Chad Kuhl. First inning of the game, a lot of guys will struggle trying to catch your rhythm. The Cubs have put some good swings on some fastballs, and he executes one right there, one that usually should end an inning, but because of the shift, it turns into an infield base hit.
Well, he's getting on base like a number 2 hitter in the 6th hole. So after the Zobrist home run, singles by Contreras and Hayward, and it's 22-year-old All-Star Addison Russell. Called strike. Russell is the youngest Cub elected to start in the All-Star game. Pitch number 23 of the inning for Kuhl, and it's low.
And you see there he's trying to throw a fastball in and getting around that pitch a little bit, and so now it's about forcing location for Chad Kuhl. Got off to a great start with the strikeout of Tommy La Stella, but then it was the walk. It was the hard contact from Rizzo, the home run from Zobrist, the hard contact from Contreras, and now struggling to get back in a groove.
2-1. Is that the biggest thing? That transition from the minor leagues to the major leagues. You don't get a breather in a lineup, that's number one, but just that inning management when things start to unravel, trying to get it back.
Absolutely, because the pressure is higher here obviously than anywhere else, and so your mind has a tendency to race a little bit quicker. It becomes a little bit harder to slow it down, but being able to avoid the big inning is something that veteran pitchers have learned how to do. Chad Kuhl right now trying to stay away from it. Yes, he led up the 2-run home run. He needs to be able to stop it here and not let this game get out of control before his team even gets a chance to hit.
2 on, 2 out. And a 2-2 count on Russell. In the air to left. And it's Starling Marte to put it away. And finally Kuhl gets out of it, but not before Ben Zobrist hits a 2-run homer. It's the Cubs 2 and the Pirates coming up. Zobrist 2-run homer. Let's see how the Pirates line up offensively. 7 comeback wins in their last 8 games. They'll try to do it again tonight. Jordy Mercer leads off against lefties. Freese, McCutchen, Gong 2 through 4. Starling Marte having an all-star campaign, and he will head to San Diego. Rodriguez, Harrison, a former Cub farmhand, Eric Fryer, the catcher, and the pitcher Chad Kuhl to round it out. 32-year-old, 4-time All-Star Jon Lester for the Cubs tonight, coming off a real short one in New York his last time out.
And certainly not expecting to repeat that. Good veteran pitchers know how to bounce back from those bad outings.
Inside on Mercer, who connected off Lester for his first career leadoff home run at Wrigley Field on June 18th. Had a good night. He homered, doubled, and was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded, all against Lester. One nearly hit him. Cubs came back to win this game 4-3, but big swing by Mercer into the bleachers at Wrigley Field.
Well, if there's a better place to hit a home run, even as a visitor, knowing that baseball is coming back on the field, but just such a great atmosphere there in Wrigley.
2-2. We've got a bunch of righties against Lester. Gregory Polanco may have found his way into the lineup tonight, but he aggravated left hamstring issues. So if we see Polanco, it'll be only as a pinch hitter a little later. Just missed. Lester thought it was strike 3.
Very similar to the pitch that Chad Kuhl wanted in his at bat against Chris Bryant. But like I said, I think that is well established that Larry Vanover is not calling that low strike. And this one for me, even a little bit lower than the pitch that Kuhl threw. And Contreras lets us know that pitch was a ball by how much he moved his glove at the end.
3-2 is hit on the ground to La Stella at second. Check out the Jon Lester scouting report.
Cut and command. Jon Lester has a deep mix, but it's that cutter that is so strong. Just a 187 batting average against on that pitch. He's got excellent command. 2.1 walks per 9. One of the best rates of his career. He's actually getting better as he gets older. And we know about Jon Lester and his issues throwing over to first base, but he's done a really good job of counteracting that by being very quick to the plate when he gets that runner on first. He's not that easy to steal off of, despite the fact that he doesn't really have much of a move.
David Freese, interestingly enough, is their hottest hitter. 9-game hitting streak. He homered last night. And yes, they have a Freese and a Kuhl in their lineup. Foul back. Well, nice signing by the Pirates. And he signed late.
Well, I have to think for David Freese, he was wondering if he was going to have a job. He talked about the late signing. He's done an excellent job here with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And before they started climbing back into things, I'd wondered a little bit if there was the possibility that David Freese would be a guy that would be traded. The Pirates are really struggling. He's having a good year. He's only on a 1-year deal, but this team has climbed themselves back into it. And for me, David Freese stays on this team.
They signed in March to fill in with Gong coming back from knee surgery. He continues to find his way into the lineup, playing first base tonight. Lester's 2-2. This is high. He's gone full on the first 2 batters. I mentioned that last start. It arguably was John's worst major league start at Citi Field against the Mets. An inning and a third. He only recorded 4 outs. Gave up 8 runs. As he walks Freese. CJ, let's check out your 4 keys to the game.
I'm thinking about the Chicago Cubs and restoring order. Yes, they have struggled lately, losing 8 of 9, but this team is still very good, and it's about getting back on track and playing some good baseball before you go into the All-Star break. And for the Pirates, it'll be all right, meaning, you mentioned it already, all right-handed hitters in this lineup tonight, and so that'll be the challenge for Jon Lester, despite the fact that he's done a pretty good job against both lefties and righties, a .226 batting average against, but he has allowed 12 home runs to right-handed hitters this year.
Now Andrew McCutchen, who will actually have an all-star break for the first time in 6 years. Ground ball to short. Russell the flip. La Stella the turn. And a 6-4-3 double play to end the first inning. After one, baseball night in America from Pittsburgh, 2-0 Cubs. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Arm & Hammer and OxyClean, official partners of Major League Baseball. And we'd like to take a moment to give a shout out to our colleague Mike Helling. And we wish him a speedy recovery. Look forward to seeing him at the ballpark soon. Watching our broadcast tonight, Javier Baez leading off the second for Chicago. 2-0 they lead as Ben Zobrist hit a 2-run homer in the first. Baez is a shortstop by trade, playing third tonight. Well, he drives one out toward the alley. And it'll bang off the wall. And it's a leadoff double. Well, the Cubs bats have been right on Chad Kuhl here to start this game.
He is not fooling anybody right now. And what a swing here by Javier Baez. Driving this ball all the way to the wall. Again, Kuhl trying to go on the outside corner. Not a terrible pitch. It's outer third, up a little bit. But right now he has not been able to utilize the great sinker that we know that he has. We're seeing a lot of balls hit in the air. He has yet to record a ground ball out yet, and we certainly expect to see things like that when we know he's got that good two-seam fastball.
We'll see how Joe Maddon decides to play it here with the pitcher up. Normally a bunting spot. And some managers zig, Joe will zag. So we'll see. He is showing bunt. And it will roll foul as Freese decided to let it go foul.
Now when you get a guy with good movement and maybe the command is not exactly there right now, it's very difficult to bunt off a guy like Chad Kuhl. Ideally, I think now that he's 0-1, I'm going to try to elevate a fastball here to John Lester and see if I can get him to maybe pop it up in the infield. But it's a heavy ball that comes in, which makes it very difficult, even in a bunting situation, to square it up the way that you want to.
See the corner men pinched in, Young at third, Freese at first. Kuhl thought about third, but he'll get it to Harrison at first instead. Sack bunt for Lester. Runner at third. One out. Baseball's two biggest summer events back to back. The T-Mobile Home Run Derby on ESPN July 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And the very next night, don't miss baseball's biggest stars at the 87th All-Star Game, presented by MasterCard, July 12th on Fox. Coverage begins at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Clint Hurdle will bring his infielders in with one out against La Stella. He struck out to start the game. And the right-hander on an 0-1. In on the hands.
And that's back-to-back fastballs in. And if you remember from the first at-bat, Tommy La Stella struck out on that good slider. I think the idea here for Chad Kuhl is not giving Tommy La Stella an opportunity to poke the ball into the outfield, so he's trying to go hard and jam him and try to induce some weak contact.
Ground ball to second. Baez is going to stay at third as Harrison makes the play. So the decision to play the infield in pays off here for the Pirates.
Well, this was a slider as we see it here. Finished over the middle of the plate, but what a great job. Talk about Josh Harrison and the job he has done for this team. Ball was hit right at him, but never easy when you're playing infield in. Not nearly as much time to react. It becomes all about your hands. And he certainly has some great ones.
Infield will move back. They will overshift to the left on the infield against Bryant here with 2 outs. Bear Delaware native Chad Kuhl to Bryant, swing and a miss.
Good execution on that slider. And you notice the velocity there at 88 miles an hour. It's not a big slider, doesn't have a lot of movement, but the difference between that fastball and that slider from a velocity standpoint is not that much, and so makes it a little bit more difficult for hitters to pick that spin up.
Bryant went on appeal. Call made by David Rackley at first.
Those back-to-back sliders here. And mention what happened the first time. Now this pitch we know is a ball on the pitch. As we watch Chris Bryant, you could see the head of that bat coming around. These are not easy calls to make for home plate umpires. The right calls to go ahead and appeal to first base. And David Rackley gets it right.
Old foul. Big crowd tonight here at PNC Park.
They do such a great job of supporting their team here in Pittsburgh. Even through those lean years, they were pretty vocal about not being happy about it, even though they have one of the best ballparks in Major League Baseball. But they always come out and support this team, and it's been a fun 4-year run, making the postseason for the first time a couple of years ago. Well, they go 19-year run. Well, they'd never even broken 500, but it has been good baseball here the last few years.
1-2 on Bryant. Whenever you've got a weekend series here in Pittsburgh with the weather like this, it's very festive. Especially with one of their big rivals in town. Runner at third, 2 outs, second inning. A 1-2. He's staying down, down, down in this sequence. And I guess when you're facing a guy who already has 25 home runs, you better keep it down. You see the shift.
And we saw it too, and they know Chris Bryant, especially based on the pitch selection, good chance that he's going to pull that ball at least if on the ground on the left side. So you got to make sure you're pitching him accordingly. I'm guessing he's going to try to sweep that slider again.
And Bryant to left. Marte will have enough room. A hard hit out. Marte found out a few hours ago he's headed to the All-Star game. He'll bat second in the second. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Mist Twist. Insist on the twist. Nailed it. 2-0 Cubs, bottom of the second. Nice night to be out on the Allegheny.
I think that's the second place I'd like to be on a night like tonight. I think we got the best seat in the house, but that looks like a pretty good one out there.
Jung Ho Kang leading off for the Pirates, playing third, batting in the cleanup spot. He's hit 11 home runs. He missed the first 28 games on the DL. Back from left knee surgery, and he really got hit with that surgically repaired knee there. 2-0. Lester walked Freese with 1 out in the first, but then quickly got the 6-4-3 double play to end the inning. Inside again. Here was the injury mid-September last year against the Cubs. Chris Coghlan trying to break up a double play. And Kang took the worst of it. A devastating left leg injury. Broke the leg. Had to have knee surgery. And they did not have him down the stretch or for the wild card game. He draws a 4-pitch walk.
Here I was talking up Jon Lester and struggling with his command. I would see the 4-pitch walk. But you mentioned that slide, and going back to last year as well, it was Chase Utley who also had a slide in the postseason, and when it was Ruben Tejada. This one a little bit later than what we saw with Chris Coghlan, but this is what set off the rules and the changes that we see now in the slides at second base. I will tell you, and a lot of people were not happy with my opinion, but that Jung Ho slide for me, it had a lot to do, or the Coghlan slide had a lot to do with the fact that Jung Ho was in front of the bag, which we don't see too very often. I played with Jung Ho in Korea, and in Korea and in Japan, they're not anticipating that. You don't see middle infield, you don't see base runners taking out middle infielders on double plays, and even though you try to change hold habits, a lot of times you fall back into them during games, and he was kind of ill-prepared and probably not expecting that slide from Chris Coghlan. In my opinion, though, Chris Coghlan did nothing wrong. That slide was not dirty. There was no ill intent there. A lot of people thought otherwise.
Starling Marte got a big hand. Kang has a big lead over at first. The running game always a topic when Jon Lester pitches. That one out into center, and it'll drop. Hayward playing pretty deep. And the Pirates have something going here in the second. 2 on with nobody out. That's their first hit.
Well, after the 4-pitch walk, Jon Lester thinking he wants to get right back in the zone, but this is Starling Marte, and it's a spinning cutter that sits in the middle of the plate. He was trying to go in, and he's not going to wait around, and he squares it up. I'm going to tell you, I was watching Jung Ho run right there, and even though he was on the move, did not look very comfortable at all coming around second base. I think we can see the difference in that knee and where he is right now from a running standpoint.
So 2 on, nobody out for Sean Rodriguez. Quickly, let me ask you, if Coghlan made that same slide tonight, would they call him out according to the new rule?
I don't think they would. And I remember when those rules came out and I read them and I looked at everything that was considered to be a bona fide slide, and there was nothing in the Coghlan slide that I saw that violated even any of the new rules. The contact was below the knee. He was able to reach the bag. He did not change his path. These are all the things that teams are looking for. And he did not slide late. And so for me, if you're looking at that play under review, I think the Chris Coghlan slide is still legal.
And those particular plays have loomed large on a few occasions this year, including the other night, the Nationals and the Mets. Jason Worth.
Jason Worth was not too happy. Mike Rizzo was not too happy, as we learned that after the game he got into a confrontation with home plate umpire crew chief Jim Joyce on that call, but they got it right. He did not hold the bag, and that's part of the rule. I don't necessarily love that rule, but this is what Major League Baseball has decided, and players now have gotten to do this for almost a half a season, or we are past the halfway mark. When you look at the game total, they probably need to be getting it right now.
Lester behind another Pirate. 2 balls, no strikes. And the pitch to Rodriguez is fouled. He homered last night. And the Pirates 8-4 win. It was off Jake Arrieta, who had gone 10 consecutive starts against the Pirates without allowing any homers, and he gave up 2 in 1 inning.
And he got every bit of that slider that sat in the middle of the plate. Think about Sean Rodriguez. He's got a lot of pop, and he's a utility guy. Maybe he doesn't play every single day, but he certainly can bring you power off the bench, or when he gets his occasional starts, he is capable of doing damage.
2-1 is low. 3 balls and a strike.
I think we're seeing an uncomfortable Jon Lester right now, because this is not the kind of command that we have seen from him this year. I mentioned it at the beginning of the game, how good he has been with his walks, but it's not even just about walks. It's about putting the ball where you want to within the strike zone. So far in this inning especially, he seems to be struggling just a little bit.
It's 3-1. Ball 4. The bases are loaded for Josh Harrison. This is a Pirates offense that will take pitches. They do the small things well. And now Chris Bosio, the Cubs pitching coach, is out to the mound. Nobody sees sports quite the way Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock do. The brains to know and the guts to say. Catch Colin and Jason as they team up for FS1's new daily sports talk show. Speak for yourself, weeknights at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific.
A lot of excitement around FS1 right now with the new show that we just launched. Speak for yourself. And following that show every weeknight on FS1, you can catch guys like myself and Frank Thomas, Kevin Burkhardt, Dontrell Willis, Chris Myers, and we do a show called MLB Whip Around, highlights and analysis. All of that happens right after Speak for Yourself.
Trouble here for the All-Star Lester. 3 on, nobody out. Josh Harrison swings and fouls.
I think the conversation right there for Chris Bosio is about giving Jon Lester a little bit of a breather, but also maybe just letting him know it's twice now that he's thrown a good fastball just below the zone, that he's not going to get that call, because Jon Lester even wanted that last one, but that strike is not available tonight, and so he is going to be forced to bring that fastball up in the zone just a little bit more.
And he just hit Harrison for forcing a run. So Gunn will score, and it's now 2-1 as Harrison tries to run it off, but that clearly stung. Not as much so when you get an RBI.
It helps a little bit, but you can see the pain that Josh Harrison is in, and getting hit on your toe and on your foot does not feel good. There's not a lot of protection there. This is another cutter that's down and in. You see that ball catch him right on the side of his left foot, and immediately screaming in pain. But yes, the RBI makes you feel a little bit better. Josh Harrison's not going to be feeling very well tomorrow when he wakes up. I'm sure he'll be a little bit sore.
These two teams get hit a ton.
And they're all good guys. Josh Harrison's a great guy. I don't think anybody wants to hit him on purpose, but the competition has begun, and the Pirates trailing the Cubs now by 10 after that Josh Harrison hit by pitch. And there's a pretty big drop off. You see the Blue Jays are 3rd in Major League Baseball at 39, and it continues to go down. Part of that has to do, I think, with Anthony Rizzo on the Cubs side. He stands on top of the plate. It's always going to be like that. I love his approach, but he is going to get hit by pitches once in a while. But the Pirates one, I know there's been times where they've gotten frustrated by it, but I don't think it's a situation where they're unlikable guys and they're showing other teams up, and so they're getting hit. A lot of times it's just circumstance, but a lot of trips to the training room and some ice bags and maybe a few Advil for both of these clubs.
1-0 on the catcher, Eric Fryer. And Lester staring down Larry Vanover. 2-0.
And Jon Lester is a veteran, and when a veteran does that, you got to believe that that pitch is a strike. That one is borderline. It's pretty close. You see Contreras not helping the situation by holding on to that ball just a little bit longer, but based on what we have seen tonight, I believe that pitch is probably a ball.
Fouled away. Lester and Contreras working together for the first time. David Ross is John's normal battery mate, but he is currently on the 7-day concussion list. Speaking of injured catchers, the Pirates have 3 on the DL. Francisco Cervelli, Chris Stewart, and Elias Diaz are all out. Swing and a miss, 2-2.
Jon Lester elevating his fastball there, probably more so than he wanted to, but he knows here, bases loaded, nobody out. He cannot mess around, cannot shoot corners. And when you're having a game like this, you certainly don't want to go 3-2. This is a pitch right now where he wants to and needs to finish the at-bat.
He's also got the pitcher Kuhl on deck. Very important batter in this inning for both teams. Another foul by Fryer. He was acquired on waivers from the Cardinals on July 3rd. Erik Kratz is the other catcher on the active roster. He spent time with Houston earlier this year.
You think about Erik Kratz, he started in San Diego, got traded to the Astros, cleared waivers, went to the Angels, and then ends up here with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Full count, 3-2. Lester has already walked 3, including 2 in this inning. Payoff delivery. Fly ball to center. Marte will easily be able to score on the tag. The throw goes to third. Rodriguez is safe there, and we are tied on a sac fly by Erik Fryer. 2-2.
This is a good at bat by Erik Fryer. When it's all said and done, he gets the result that he wants in finding any way you can to get a run in. And he put a pretty good charge into that ball as well as he drove it into deep center field. That's a successful at bat. You don't want to strike out there. You got to find a way. You mentioned it with the pitcher coming up next. It becomes important that Erik Fryer gets a run in, and he did just that.
So now with runners at first and third, this is normally a safety bunt situation where you're just trying to get that guy from first to second, and then the runner at third, Rodriguez, can read it. Kuhl bunts through strike one. He's 0 for 1 in the big leagues with a sac hit. Rick Sofield, the Pirates third base coach, giving the signs.
Well, there's an advantage here for the runner on third base because the middle infield is pinched with the idea of maybe turning that double play, and so Sean Rodriguez can go as far as Javier Baez does.
Contreras throws it away, and the Pirates grab the lead. So Rodriguez scores on a throwing error by Wilson Contreras.
Well, I think this is based on exactly what we saw in the pitch before, which was Sean Rodriguez coming pretty far down the line. Wilson Contreras sensing an opportunity. Of course, number one, this is a terrible throw. Number two, even if it's on the mark where Javier Baez is, chances are he's not going to be able to put a tag on Sean Rodriguez, and that is a young player getting over aggressive. And while you want your players to never play scared, there's also that line of not trying to be too aggressive and trying to do too much. That's what we saw from Contreras right there.
Emerson also advanced to second. Ground ball toward the hole, smothered by Russell. His throw to first is late, and Chad Kuhl has his first major league hit.
And Chad Kuhl is just trying to put the ball in play and maybe make something happen. There was no opportunity for Josh Harrison to go to third base here, and so he has to watch Addison Russell make this play. When you're on second base, you never go if the ball is in front of you. That's exactly what happened there. And not much anybody could do about that one. Just a well-placed ground ball. Addison Russell gave it his absolute best effort.
So still only one out. We're back to the top, and Jordy Mercer. 3 in for the Pirates. They have taken the lead. Curveball strike.
Now, when Chad Kuhl is telling this story years down the road, it'll end up being a line drive into left field off of John Lester, but for the time being, it is an infield hit.
Mercer fouled one off himself. He's got a little protection on that front leg.
You see this, another cutter in, and it caught the top half of that shin guard. A little bit of his foot as that thing was kind of flopping around.
You see the patch there on the left chest of the Pirates uniforms. It is a Pittsburgh bicentennial patch. The city celebrating its 200th birthday. And probably before this game is over, they will be setting off fireworks over the Monongahela River.
Well, this is a beautiful place to do it, and probably the best view you have in all of Major League Baseball. The way that you get to look at downtown San Francisco, also a great spot as well. But fireworks look great here after a game.
We've seen some fireworks in the game with the Zobrist homer and the Pirates coming back here in the second. One and two on Mercer. Called strike three on the outside corner. And that is Lester's first strikeout tonight. He's had to work very hard for every out.
And that's the pinpoint command that we had not seen so far tonight from Jon Lester on the fastball. He puts it right on the corner. That is what has been missing from his game a little bit. Too many misses over the middle of the plate. And of course the walks as well, the ones that were missing off the plate. But good to get that first strikeout, and maybe now getting a little bit of rhythm.
If you watch Jon Lester a lot, you know he is a consummate pitch maker, and it's something he did not do in his last start, and he's struggled mightily to do that tonight.
We mentioned it with Chad Kuhl. When you start to get in a little bit of trouble, how do you stay away from the beginning? Well, the more times you've been through it, the more times you can recognize situations, you can control your motions, and then of course, as you mentioned, you have the ability to make the big pitch when you have to make it. Now we got a tough break on the infield hit, on the error on the ball that was thrown into the outfield, but like I said, be careful here if Jon Lester starts to get locked in.
He's ahead of Freese, 0-2. Strange inning. Walk, single, walk, hit by pitch with the bases loaded, sac fly, throwing error on the catcher. And a 30 pitch plus inning for Lester. And Freese went around. That's a strikeout to end it. Pirates grab the lead 3-2 after 2. The city of Bridges, Pittsburgh. Pirates lead the Cubs 3-2. An eventful first couple of innings. Maybe too eventful for these starting pitchers who will try to settle in.
I'll tell you what, it's not exactly the best combination because you're looking at two offenses that know how to work the count, that go deep in the count, that take a lot of pitches per at bat. And you got an umpire which appears to be maybe a little bit of a tight zone, and so that is not a great combination for these two starting pitchers to begin this game, and the frustration will start to build a little bit. Now it becomes a matter of who can make the biggest pitches when they have to, with this game getting close after just 2 innings.
Near miss by Rizzo in the first inning. Flied to the warning track. As he fouls away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mentioned Cool is from Bear, Delaware. Went to the University of Delaware. 9th round pick, 2013. And his 1-1 was popped up, and this one will get back out of play.
See the numbers there for Anthony Rizzo and what he has done from an OPS on base plus slugging standpoint. It's been great. And I remember when they signed him up to that team friendly deal and thought it might have been a little bit early, but the Cubs obviously knew exactly what they were doing.
That one will get on up to that north side notch. Rizzo to second, and he's thinking 3, and the relay throw to third is late. It's a triple. Well, if you want to hit a 3-bagger in this ballpark, you hit it exactly where Rizzo did.
Almost seemed like that ball went around the corner. So many of these new ballparks, or they're all new, it seems like these days, but have so many interesting nooks and crannies. But trying to go in, this pitch ends up being up over the plate. Anthony Rizzo does not try to do too much. Great at bat, not trying to pull that ball. But look what this thing ends up. Go in the alley, make a right, end up in the corner, and Anthony Rizzo, not the smoothest around second base right there. Does an excellent job, though, ahead of the throw, hitting that leadoff triple.
Recently with an inside the park home run. And here's Zobrist, who homered his first time. So the tying run 90 feet away with nobody out. Zobrist signed a 4-year free agent contract after winning a World Series ring with the Royals. He bounces to first. Rizzo's going to hold at third as Freese makes the play unassisted.
And that's the right call right there. If you're wondering why Anthony Rizzo did not run with nobody out, you're only going to run if that ball is hit up the middle. But if it's hit to either the third baseman or the first baseman, you wait, you watch the ball to see if it goes through. Otherwise, you stand pat because there's still that opportunity for the sacrifice fly.
And the Pirates will play their middle guys back with 1 out against Contreras. Going about even with the bag. Freese in maybe a step or 2. 1 ball, 1. Quite a story. Wilson Contreras, 24 years old, but he's been in the Cubs system since 2009. Came up originally as a third baseman, converted to catcher in 2012. And CJ, he did very little of note the first 6 years or so of his minor league career. He was exposed to the Rule 5 draft prior to 2015. Nobody took him. And last year he won the AA Southern League batting title and became the top catching prospect in the game.
Well, I think that says a lot to what the Chicago Cubs were able to do with him from a player development standpoint. Sometimes you take players, you sign them, or you get them through the draft, and you think maybe there's something there, but they're not high on the priority list. But you get them in your system, you coach them up, and guys respond. And you mentioned it took a little while, obviously, where things were not happening, but you have that breakthrough year, and you're still pretty young. You never know what can happen from that standpoint going forward. I will tell you this, Wilson Contreras is bringing a lot to the table. There's a lot to like. He is extremely comfortable for a rookie. He's got a little bit of that edge to him, which you love seeing. We see more and more of it now, these young guys, when they first get to the big leagues.
See what he's done since he's been here. And he's in a 3-1 count. Kick and the pitch. Right field foul.
And there's certain things, I mentioned it earlier, that you cannot teach players at this level. There's certain things that are just innate. You can see it in Contreras in the fact that he fears no one. He is not scared of anybody. We saw him get into a little bit of a verbal back and forth with Jeff Francoeur the other day. And you like seeing that. I asked Joe Madden, did he earn himself some points in the clubhouse after that? And he said absolutely. Teammates appreciate that kind of thing.
3-2. Out of play. This was late Thursday night. Several Cub batters had been hit earlier. Didn't appear that any of those were on purpose. And Francoeur and Contreras got in a little bit of a stare down. The bench is cleared. No punches were thrown.
Well, what's great about that, what I liked with Contreras is after he just missed Francoeur, Contreras points out to him with his glove like, yeah, that was exactly what I wanted you to do. Great job. So that's going to bother Jeff Francoeur a little bit, and we don't know what was said. You cannot read lips when a catcher is wearing his mask, but there was probably some words exchanged at that point, and Jeff Francoeur, the veteran, was not too happy about it. And like I said, some back and forth, and you saw it right there. Yeah, some guys that come up maybe a little bit too comfortable can be a little bit reckless, but it is always easier to pull a player back than it is to push him forward. I'll take that kind of edge, that kind of attitude every single time for a player when he first gets to the big leagues.
He has got a bundle of energy. Runner at third, one out in a one-run ball game. Another 3-2 from Kuhl. Rizzo to the plate. As Contreras is safe. The deflection off the glove of Gong. It went to Mercer, and he could not get the out at first. 3-3. And Contreras will get an RBI, and he's 2 for 2.
And this is probably a run scored, even if Jung Ho Kang fields his ball clean. There would have been no play at the plate, but you see him pick up his head a little bit as he tried to get that on the short hop and rush the play. There's nothing you can do about that. You don't want to get caught in between, but he did not have time to play it back or get in front of the hop, and unfortunately he ends up missing that ball.
So it is an infield hit for Contreras. Clint's on about his 8th piece of gum. I think he adds one every inning. Starts with like 5. Want to know on Hayward. Well, the All-Star game coming up. These two managers have had a chance to manage in the Midsummer Classic. Hurdle, the 2008 National League manager, suffered a 4-3 loss to the AL. Hayward to left and a base hit. Marte will get it back in to keep Contreras at second. So Hayward is 2 for 2.
Jason Hayward here gets a ball away. Again, doesn't try to do too much. This is a good pitch and a good sinker, but look at his head down on the ball. Mentioned it earlier, the same thing with Anthony Rizzo. It's been a little bit of a rough stretch here for Jason Hayward, but these are 2 good at-bats we've seen from him so far tonight.
It's going to be a short outing for Chad Kuhl. 3-3 in the third. Time for a pitching change. Aldo C. from Joliet, Illinois, winner of the Arm & Hammer OxiClean Cleanup and Win sweepstakes. He has won a trip to the All-Star Game in San Diego, live on Fox this Tuesday. For more info, visit cleanupandwin.com. Courtesy of Arm & Hammer and OxiClean, the official laundry detergent and stain remover of Major League Baseball. Here's Juan Nicasio. He had been in the Pirates starting rotation, and recently was put on the restricted list to deal with a personal matter. When he came back about a week later, he was put in the Pirate bullpen. He comes into this game early tonight.
He does, and kind of now in that long man role, whenever you have a starting pitcher that goes down to the bullpen, this usually becomes the role for him in trying to eat some innings, but also try to keep his team in the game, because this game is still very close. So Juan Nicasio has got a big job here, an important one for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
2 on, 1 out, and the batter's Addison Russell, and he swings and misses for strike 1.
It seemed like in Juan Nicasio the Pirates had found their next reclamation project. He had that monster spring training, 15 innings, no earned runs, 24 strikeouts and just 5 walks, and got off to a pretty good start this year. The month of May did not go particularly well and really struggled with an ERA near 7. And you mentioned him now losing eventually that spot in that rotation.
1 and 1 on Russell. He flied to left in the first. You see Contreras, the lead man, Hayward at first. Nicasio has the sign from Fryer. And that one is drilled foul. Monday in St. Louis, Nicasio had an immaculate inning. 9 pitches, 3 strikeouts. You ever do that?
Of course not. Not even close. Not even close. But those are awesome. We get to see them once in a while, and that kind of speaks to the stuff that Juan Nicasio has. And there is still a lot of upside. I don't know if he'll ever find his way back into this rotation, because a lot of the young starters that we're now seeing getting opportunities here with the Pittsburgh Pirates, but there's still value in what he does, and he can still play an important role because he still has the great stuff.
Two and 2. Where the decision for Clint Hurdle to pull the plug here lately has probably not been too fun. He had to go get Francisco Liriano last night in the 6th. And as we mentioned, this bullpen has had to work very hard, and it's been very good.
It's not an ideal situation. Haven't used the bullpen more than you want to, but at the same time, the Pirates are behind. And they're behind a couple of games in the wild card. They're behind 7.5 coming in to this game behind the Chicago Cubs, and you can't let it get away. You don't want to burn your bullpen out in July, but at the same time, you don't want to play so poorly that you put yourself out of contention either. And so you do the best that you can, and that's part of being a reliever. A lot of times it can be feast or famine, and there are times when you're throwing too much and you just got to find a way to grind through it.
Two. Fouled out of play. Nicasio gave up a 2-run homer last night to Miguel Montero in the 6th. Contreras with the RBI single, scoring Rizzo, who had tripled to start the inning. And that has tied the game. Swing and a miss. He got him.
We've seen a couple of these sliders in this at bat from Juan Nicasio, and here's a perfectly executed one. 2-strike pitch, down and away. Addison Russell unable to make contact. That's one of the reasons why there's some upside here still for Juan Nicasio in the rest of the season with the Pittsburgh Pirates. That is a devastating slider.
We'll bring up Baez, batting 8th in the lineup tonight. He doubled in the 2nd. And a called strike. Cubs have out-hit the Pirates 7-2. Pirates have utilized 3 John Lester walks, a hit batter, and an error. One ball, one strike. As we said, Baez can play everywhere. All 4 infield spots. In a pinch, could play the outfield. And he went around 1-2.
You see Baez chasing that slider out of the zone. That has always been the knock on him, is the plate discipline. It's gotten a lot better though when he first got to the big leagues and played in 52 games back in 2014. His strikeout rate was 41.5%. That is unsustainable. That's not something you can do over the course of a full season in baseball. He dropped it to 30 last year in limited time, and this year now the most playing time he has gotten, that rate has been cut almost in half, 22.5% on the strikeout rate. So you're seeing steady improvement here from Javier Baez, which is important because he needed to do that if he wanted to stick in the major leagues.
1-2, and fouled it away to stay alive. Lester, the pitcher, on deck. Bill Madden hoping he can settle in for a rough second. Really good numbers here. Limited at bats for Baez. Another 1-2. Again, he stays alive.
You see in there, the last 3 pitchers are out of the strike zone. He chases all of them, but he's able to foul at least 2 of those off. And part of the improvement in the strikeout rate is pitch recognition. Now, we haven't seen it in these last couple of pitches, and strike zone recognition, understanding when a ball comes out of a pitcher's hand, whether or not that pitch is actually going to be a strike. It's one of the toughest things to do because you're seeing the best pitching that you're going to see on a nightly basis here in the big leagues. But it's gotten better, but we're seeing him right now chase out of the zone. So if you're Juan Nicasio, you're not throwing a pitch in the strike zone until he takes one. You continue to elevate the fastball. You continue to throw the slider down in the dirt until you either get a swing and miss or weak contact, or if he finally takes one, then you go back to the zone.
Another try by Nicasio, and this time Baez takes that pitch in the dirt. 2-2. Well, I guess you keep doing it until he won't fish.
Absolutely, and now you're in that 2-2 count, which a lot of pitching coaches will tell you that is the finish the at-bat account. You never want to be able to go, never want to go full count, put yourself in a situation where you got to throw a ball down the middle with a couple of runners on base. So now you split the plate into thirds and you go outer third or inner third and try to hit a spot and finish things.
Two on the way. Tried it one more time. Runners will be on the move here with 2 outs. Gorgeous night here in Pittsburgh. Action pitch, 3-2, and it's bounced to the shortstop, Mercer. Safe at first, and a run will score. Contreras is in, and the Cubs lead 4-3.
What great hustle by Wilson Contreras as you see him continue to bounce around in the dugout, but a close play here. But yes, Baez is in there. Now the mistake for David Freese is that he looks up at the umpire first to see what the call is, as opposed to just assuming that he's going to be safe. You want to come up throwing it home. Even though the runners were on the move, he probably has a play. We know David Freese has not played a lot of first base in his career, and so that's probably not a thought that he's having at that moment. But Contreras is absolutely safe. David Freese has learned that lesson in that moment. You have to be thinking about the runners that are in motion.
How about an RBI infield single to score a man from second, and a catcher no less.
Yeah, you don't see it every day. Baez, 0 hesitation out of the box. Contreras, 0 hesitation coming around third base. Great hustle all the way around.
The run will be charged to the starter, Cool. So Lester has another lead. 2 balls, no strikes on him.
That all points back to that philosophy that Joe Maddon has with this team, which is about respecting 90. Respect that 90 feet. I remember asking him a couple of years ago, digging in on that a little bit, and he said to me, what does it take? 4 seconds for the average runner to get to first base? He says, you hit 4 ground balls a night. You don't have 16 seconds to give me your best effort. And it makes a lot of sense because we see some guys that don't hustle out of the box, but you will not see a player that plays for Joe Maddon not give it everything he has on the base paths.
Missed again. He's gone 3-0 on the pitcher.
This is certainly not a guy you would think about walking. Jon Lester is not known for his offensive prowess. He has struggled through his career offensively, has not been a very good hitter.
Ball 4. A 4-pitch walk to Jon Lester. We're getting a little antsy here in Pittsburgh. Bases loaded for La Stella. Yeah, Jon Lester started his career 0 for 66, which set a major league record before his first hit last July 6th against the Cardinals, and it was off John Lackey, and they're now teammates.
Which is always fun when you get to play with a guy that you got to hit off of another pitcher and get to rib him a little bit, talk about it throughout the year. But Jon Lester has just 7 base hits in his career. And for all major league pitchers with at least 150 plate appearances of all time, Jon Lester's 7 hits are the 3rd worst. This game has been played for a very long time. Minimum 150 plate appearances. Jon Lester just 7 base hits, and obviously spent a lot of time in the American League. And I don't think he cares that much because he's a great pitcher, but not exactly the company that you want to be in. And certainly that makes that 4-pitch walk look even worse.
Mike Thurman really appreciates that graphic.
Yeah. At least wasn't first or second.
So Nicasio, after chatting with his pitching coach Ray Searage, he'll go to the windup with the bases loaded and 2 outs. And he misses again. It's 5 straight bad ones. .1-0 to La Stella is a strike. Hayward at 3rd. He singled earlier. Baez with the infield hit to score a run, and Lester walked. One and 2. It's Archimedes Caminero, hard throwing right-handed.
Certainly not what Clint Hurdle wanted to do, which was potentially go through multiple pitchers here in just the 3rd inning. And you mentioned the pieces of gum and probably a couple of more this inning, but they really need Juan Nicasio to finish this inning, but also to give them a couple of more.
Swing and a miss on the 40th pitch combined in the inning, and former NL MVP Andrew McCutchen's trying to get his season jump started when we come back. on the shores of the Allegheny PNC Park. 4-3. The Cubs lead the Pirates, bottom of the third inning. And a strike on Andrew McCutchen. He swung at the first pitch in the first and hit into an inning-ending double play. Had 3 hits last night in the series opener. And he drives one to deep left, and he has tied the game. Home run number 13 for McCutchen, and it's 4-4.
There's been a lot of concerns about Andrew McCutchen dealing with the thumb issue, not having a very Andrew McCutchen-like season, but he can still hit a ball that is up in the zone, and there's still plenty of time left in the season for him to make an impact, and he does that right here in the bottom of the third inning, tying this game with a blast into left field. That had to feel good for Andrew McCutchen.
He had not fared too well against John Lester in his career before this swing. Not too much doubt about it. Gong bounces foul. It's 0-2. When you talk to people around here who've watched McCutchen all year, and they say you just haven't seen him be himself yet. But I guess my reply, CJ, would be it would be more surprising if he doesn't become Andrew McCutchen than if he does. So
absolutely.
They have to feel, I guess, good that they're in the mix, and he hasn't given them his best yet.
This is an organization and a team right now that has an opportunity to improve from within, and that means Andrew McCutchen having a strong second half. This guy's been a perennial MVP for a few years right now. And for me, that's no reason to panic and think that he's done or his best years are behind him. I'm hardly not even remotely close to going there on a 29-year-old Andrew McCutchen. He was dealing with some thumb issues. That had been a problem. He was trying to play through it, trying to work around it. There's still plenty of time left in the season, and this is the kind of guy that is capable of doing it. He's gotten great help from Starling Marte in left and Gregory Polanco in right. And so that has kind of maybe kept the spotlight and his struggles off of him a little bit. But Andrew McCutchen, still a great player, and there's still a lot of opportunity here for him to help this club the rest of the way.
There's a 2-2 to Gong, and it misses. A lot of full counts for John Lester here early.
And the pitch count is high at 52, but certainly John Lester has a lot more than that in him. It looked like he was getting settled in with the strikeouts of Jordy Mercer and David Freese to finish off the second inning, but struggling here again now in the third inning, and the Cubs getting a little bit concerned as they start to get some action in the bullpen.
His third strikeout. Let's take a look at the Just for Men stat. Great looking hair made easy as Adam Warren gets loose. We had a bad month of June. Off to a great start here in July are the Pirates. They've won 11 of their last 14 and just recently returned from a 7-2 road trip.
You look at that 6-20 and just crushes this team. You know, had that been, could they have won even 12 games in that span? Maybe we'll get 12-14. You think about where they would be in this division, but that streak really hurt. That 26-game stretch was an absolute killer.
Nice play by Russell to get the speedy Marte. So 2 outs, and it'll bring up Rodriguez. They'll get settled in. It has been a back and forth battle, and we're only in the third inning.
It's hard to believe. Third inning, and the Cubs have already given up the lead twice now, and it's John Lester, their veteran, on the mound. Talked about it earlier, coming off the worst outing of his career, that inning and 2/3 and 8 runs allowed, and thinking he's the kind of guy that's going to bounce back from that, but he has not been particularly sharp. We've seen it for a handful of hitters, but we've also seen him really struggle with the command. He seemed to have a real good feel for his cutter today. There's times where he's missing. Down and in, he hit Josh Harrison with the bases loaded one time with that pitch, and he's missed over the plate with it a couple of times as well.
His 0-1 misses high. Cubs have had, according to earned run average, the best starting rotation in all of baseball. For a time, it was right around 2.5. They went into tonight at 2.97, still leading the majors by a pretty wide margin. The guy throwing in the bullpen right now, Adam Warren, made a spot start the other day. He probably will make another one after the All-Star break just to give the top 5 a little bit of a breather.
The Cubs are in a weird spot here with Adam Warren because he can do both things well. A lot of times I mentioned it with Nicasio. You put a starter in the bullpen, he becomes a long man. He doesn't really take on meaningful innings. Well, Adam Warren can take on meaningful innings in your bullpen if you want late with a lead, close games. He's also a pretty good starter. He's got a good arm. And so they got to figure out what they want to do. Do they want to continue to start him or try to build that stamina up in case something happens? Or do they want him to continue to help out in the bullpen like he did for most of this year where he can be impacted? It's a tough spot to be in, but for me, based on the depth of the starting pitching beyond the 5 that they have right now in Chicago, he's probably better off starting unless they go out and get somebody via trade.
We're definitely getting into the trade season here on July 9th. Sean Rodriguez, a towering fly deep left. Bryant back at the wall. It is gone. He's homered twice in the series, and he gives the Pirates the lead tonight.
We mentioned to Pop that this guy has in his bat. Look at the glove for Contreras. He wants a breaking ball down. Not a terrible pitch, but it cuts back over inside. And Sean Rodriguez is able to drop the hammer. Contreras wanted that ball down slightly below the zone to try to get the chase pitch, but instead John Lester throws it for a strike. That pitch had more sideways break than the downward break that they wanted, and he deposits that into the left field seats. And this has been an unbelievable game so far, what we're seeing from both of these offenses.
Matt Joyce is pinch hitting for Josh Harrison. Remember, Harrison got hit by a pitch with the bases loaded in the second. So we'll get you an update on his status when we can.
This is a great pickup here. You see the numbers there, 299, 8 home runs for Matt Joyce. He had a horrific season last year with the Los Angeles Angels, and he's gotten things turned around here with the Pittsburgh Pirates and done a really nice job. Versatile guy, playing when you need to give somebody a breather. If you need to play long term, if you get an injury, he can do that as well. But it's been a really nice season for Matt Joyce.
4 pinch hit home runs already for Joyce, and a ground ball handled by La Stella to end the inning. McCutchen led off the inning with a game tired. 3 batters later, Rodriguez giving the Pirates the lead, 5-4. Cast is sponsored by Ford. We go further so you can. And by Falcon Tires, the official tire of Major League Baseball. 5-4, the Pirates lead the Cubs, and we've only played 3 innings. There's Juan Nicasio. Deals to Chris Bryant, who fouls back to the screen. Sean Rodriguez with the big home run, and he moves from right to second, and Matt Joyce stays in to play right. Now back again, 0-2. And with Rodriguez's versatility, there is no guarantee he'll finish the game at second.
No, absolutely not. And again, that's the upside, and we're seeing so much of it really on both of these rosters, but around the game where those versatile players become so valuable. You got to be able to hit a little bit too, and these guys can certainly do that.
Right center for Bryant. That will get to the wall as Bryant now stopping at second. That was an 0-2 pitch.
Well, Clint Hurdle certainly has to be frustrated with what he's seeing from his pitchers, but you mentioned the count, 0-2. It's a pitch that you have to bury. That's on the corner, but that's a 1-2 or a 2-2 pitch, not an 0-2. Give Chris Bryant a chance to chase something out of the zone. This guy's been locked in all year. And a mistake pitch in a big situation, leading off that 4th inning after your team has just taken the lead. Clint Hurdle and Ray Searage, I'm sure, both very frustrated with that at bat.
It doesn't feel like 5 runs will be enough to win this game, does it?
Could be double digits when it's all said and done.
Rizzo tripled and scored his last time up. Ball 1. .21 homers, 62 knocked in. Bryant just ahead of him with 64. Saw Jay Bruce on the list. He'll be an all-star. And as an injury replacement along with Starling Marte. Marte replacing Yoenis Cespedes. And Bruce replacing Dexter Fowler. Announced earlier today he will not be ready to return before the second half starts from his hamstring issue. That's a fair ball for Rizzo, and we are tied as Bryant scores. The throw will go to second, and it's late. 5-5 in the 4th inning.
And this pitch ended up being a poorly missed spot by Juan Nicasio. Misses up and in. Anthony Rizzo keeping those hands in, keeping the barrel on the ball without getting that turn that we see a lot of times from left-handed hitters, able to keep it fair. And Juan Nicasio needs to get through this inning here for the Pittsburgh Pirates to be able to avoid a double switch. He's due up second next inning. Because we're only in the 4th, certainly Clint Hurdle would love to be able to see him finish. His 2 guys already coming off the bench.
Back-to-back doubles to start the inning. And Zobrist looks at a strike.
Excuse me, 1 so far in Matt Joyce. And so when you're forced to use one of your bench players as a pinch hitter, with Josh Harrison having to come out, ideally you're not double switching and getting through your bench so quickly now in the 4th inning.
Let's put StatCast to work on the Ben Zobrist 1st inning home run. StatCast powered by Amazon Web Services.
It seemed like he hit it a little bit higher than 31 degrees off the bat. And a lot of times on home runs, that exit velocity is not as exciting as what we see on some other plays. As you get under it, you need a little bit of loft, and Ben Zobrist will just take the home run.
Yanks that one foul with the head of Brandon Hyde, the Cubs' first base coach. So if you're Clint Hurdle, trying to figure out just how many guys you have to use to get outs tonight. If you're Joe Madden, you're trying to figure out if your starter can at any point settle in tonight. 0-2. I don't care what issue you're talking about with a major league manager, whether it's scoring runs, where everybody's going to play, what your lineup looks like. Pitching is what keeps them up at night, right?
Absolutely. And
Bullpen.
Pitching changes. Those are the things that you replay in your mind after a game, especially a loss. Did I make the right move? Did I wait too long to go to a guy? Did I get one of my relievers up too many times and didn't pitch? And can I use him tomorrow? All of those things are what these managers are thinking about after the fact.
Pulled to the right side. Rodriguez will make the play. That gets Rizzo to third with one out. We'll bring up the catcher Contreras, 2 for 2 with an RBI and a run. And now the infield will come in. Casio from the wind. And it's low. You like this move? Bring the infield in.
The way that this game is going, I don't think 6 runs is going to be enough to win it. And so you're thinking about trying to cut that run off right now. We've seen Clint Hurdle already kind of play his hand. Now, a lot of that I think had to do with the fact that you're going up against Jon Lester and you don't want to give up any more runs. But we're not seeing the Jon Lester that we know right now. And so I believe the Pittsburgh Pirates will probably score again tonight based on how things have gone so far. But you never know. And this is the book here for Clint Hurdle, and he'll continue to play it regardless of the struggles of Jon Lester.
2-1 on Contreras. Mentioned earlier, Hurdle managed the National League 2008 after being in the World Series the previous year with the Rockies. Joe Maddon managed the American League All-Stars 2009, a 4-3 win in St. Louis. They're taking the Rays to the Fall Classic in 08.
Now this is where we'll get an opportunity to see maybe some of the maturity of Willson Contreras. He's a young hitter. He's in a 2-2 count. Will he be smart and think about shortening up here with the infield in? You're trying to just at this point hit a hard ground ball through the infield if you can, or if you get something high, lift it in the outfield for that sac fly.
Fryer's been active during this sequence with that runner at third. 3-2. Contreras asks for time. And he walks. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Visit MLB.TV for details. That'll be it for Nicasio. 5-5 in the fourth. We'll be back in a moment. Network. It's the SiriusXM All-Star Futures Game. Monday on ESPN, it's the T-Mobile Home Run Derby. Then on Tuesday, don't miss the All-Star Red Carpet Show presented by Chevrolet. And it all leads up to the Midsummer Classic at 7:30 Eastern, only on Fox. New pitcher for the Pirates, hard throwing right-hander Archimedes Caminero, making his 31st appearance. Some command issues in late May. In one game against the Diamondbacks, he was ejected after hitting 2 batters in the helmet with pitches, and then went on the disabled list with a sprained quad. Came back in mid-June. First and third situation, 1 out. Jason Heyward at the plate, a 5-5 tie.
Now, certainly not an easy thing to do, but the way you make up for this walk right here potentially is to get that double play. Heyward not going to be that easy to double up, but a hard hit ball to either one, or actually any of the infielders for that matter. It's going to give you your best opportunity.
Heyward has 2 hits tonight and takes low and in 99 on the gun, which used to draw gasps from the crowd when they would see it on the board. But around baseball these days, 99 is not a huge deal.
The trend is really unbelievable. You know, I played basically 95 through 2005, and when we saw a guy in the upper 90s, it was a huge deal. But you're right, the arms that come out of major league bullpens right now, if you don't have at least one guy that throws 98, 99 miles an hour, then you're in the minority as far as what's going on around the game these days. And then you get the Yankees, who run out of Aroldis Chapman, Dylan Betances, Andrew Miller. They just take all the fastballs.
2-0 is bounced foul. It's 2-1. Heard the story of a major league executive earlier this year chatting about one of the kids available in the draft, and he's throwing 102 in high school. And the executive said, yeah, but he's got some command issues.
That's what your coaches are for. Go ahead and put them in your system. You can work with 102. You can try and make something happen with that.
The 2-1 is popped up on the infield. This will be a big second out for the Pirates, and as Gong makes the catch.
Well, Jason Heyward knows there's only a couple of things that you can do in this at bat to not make it successful, and that's one of them right there. As you see the reaction, the frustration, it has been that kind of year, despite the fact that he's had a couple of good at bats today. But he wants to drive that go-ahead run in. It wasn't like that fastball was elevated so much where he couldn't get to it. He just missed it and got under that pitch. An unfortunate infield pop-up.
So it'll be Addison Russell with 2 outs and 101, but off the plate outside. Rizzo's double earlier in the inning tied the game.
And that's tough to catch up to right there, because not only is it 101, but it's well located away. And even if Addison Russell is looking for that fastball middle away, it's not easy to get to. Not at 101 miles an hour.
Russell will be the first Cubs shortstop to start the All-Star game since Don Kessinger, 1972. 102, but it missed.
Just like that kid in high school. I mean, can you imagine if he didn't even have great control? All those poor high school kids that had to step in there and face 102, and you're not sure where it's going.
Runner goes from first, Contreras, and Russell fouls. Contreras stole a run earlier as he scored from second on an infield single. Two bounced to Caminero. And that will end the inning. Cubs have tied it up. Fourth inning, 5-5 from Pittsburgh. Coverage of baseball sponsored by T-Mobile. Switch hitting Josh Bell made his major league debut last night, and against the reigning NL Cy Young Award winner and his parents in attendance, pinch hit single on the very first pitch, would later score a run with a big 4-run game-winning rally for the Pirates in the series opener. 23 years old, probably only here just this weekend, and barring an injury, he'll head back to a AAA after the break.
What an impressive at-bat. You think about the nerves and the jitters for guys when you step into the box for the first time in the big leagues. He could not have looked any more calm, cool, and collected in that bat, especially you're facing Jake Arrieta. He gets to first base and he's happy and he's celebrating. It was unbelievable to watch, and what a great moment for him.
Here's Adam Warren. 3 days ago made his first start of the year. Went down to the minor leagues to get stretched out and gave the Cubs 5 solid innings. Only 1 run allowed on Wednesday. Looking out of the bullpen tonight. 1-1 the count on Fryer. 5-5 in the fourth. You mentioned it earlier, CJ. Warren's got a 4-pitch mix, so he's got starter stuff. Used his changeup quite a bit, and it was effective on Wednesday.
I've always been a big fan of Adam Warren. Like his stuff, like the way he pitches. Going back to his days with the New York Yankees, traded over here. Such a great pickup, I think, for the Chicago Cubs. The versatility. We keep talking about it. Start in the bullpen, whatever it's going to be. Brings a lot to the table. A teammate of Matt Harvey at UNC. They played together. And has somewhat of a similar build. Not quite as good of stuff as Matt Harvey does, but very similar in a lot of things that they do.
So another short outing for John Lester. Went just 3 innings. Pirates starter Chad Kuhl went 2 1/3. So this game will be decided by the bullpens. And it may come down to whatever team gets like 2 scoreless innings out of 1 guy, right?
both managers are hoping that they're going to get that, and you're absolutely right, because what's going to happen here when you get to the bullpen this early is you end up extending somebody a little bit longer, and maybe somebody that's not usually in that role. It didn't happen with Nicasio the way that they hoped. It certainly could happen here with Adam Warren.
In the right center for Fryer. So he's had 2 productive plate appearances, a sac fly in the second and a leadoff single here in the fourth. And it's a pat on the back from Nick Leyva, their first base coach.
Because Matt Joyce was used earlier, you see Caminero coming up to bat now. They were not going to double switch, not this early in the game, and so now you get relief pitchers hitting. Doesn't happen very often. It's kind of an exciting moment you look forward to. You get the hit all year. It's almost a waste because you might get 1 or 2 at bats a year. The long man maybe will get a couple in the National League, but Caminero going old school, no batting gloves. Maybe he doesn't have any, but the idea here is at least that he can get the bunt down.
He is 0 for 1. He's a major league batter, and we'll have a chat with his third base coach because, yeah, he probably has no idea what the signs are.
And based on what we just saw right there, they're probably not overly confident that he can get this bunt down. He does not look very comfortable. That's a fastball that was middle away. That's probably the best pitch that he is going to get and have that opportunity to get down for a bunt.
Pulls it back, swings away. Javier Baez, his heart rate probably went up just a little bit because he was about 45 feet from home plate when Caminero opened the throttle.
And Anthony Rizzo as well, just right down the throat here. Now he starts to back up and try to put a little bit of pressure on here. Excuse me, pressure.
It is foul, and it is strike 3.
Like I said, based on what we saw on that first pitch, that was about the result I think that we could have expected. And when relief pitchers hit, things can go a little bit awry.
Oh, Jordy Mercer. Short lead by Fryer at first, and the first pitch. This is ball 1.
And Adam Warren getting his first taste of the low strike zone that doesn't exist. That looked like a pretty good one there, but again, that's just not the call that Larry Vanover has been giving all night.
Warren acquired from the Yankees on December 8th in a deal that sent Starlin Castro to New York, a 3-time All-Star. Well, just off the top of my head, second base was kind of an interesting position in the offseason, wasn't it? Neil Walker goes to New York to replace Daniel Murphy, who went to Washington. Cubs traded Starlin Castro to New York to make room for Ben Zobrist.
Brandon Phillips turned down a trade to the Washington Nationals. He wanted to add an extra year on his contract. That didn't happen. That opened up the door for Daniel Murphy to get that 3-year deal. He has been great, better than expected. Not a fluke. What we saw in the postseason last year. He's been really, really good. Yeah, it has been an interesting year. And look at that position. Starlin Castro cooling off a little bit, but that's a trade that probably worked out well, I think, for both sides. He slid over to second base last year for the Cubs after Addison Russell took over the shortstop position. He was very good there, up his trade value.
He had a great finish to the season as Mercer takes the walk. So
and the Cubs get to turn that into Adam Warren. Or you take that second half of Starlin Castro, and they know they have other plans in the infield. They're ready to move on from him, and they get themselves a very good utility pitcher, I guess you could call him, in Adam Warren.
First baseman, David Freese.
If you are wondering, no, there has not been a 1-2-3 inning.
Really? I couldn't tell.
Lester faced 3 in the first but it was a walk and a double play. Freese breaks his bat as he slowly rolls to third. Baez to Rizzo for out number 2. Second and third for McCutchen. Let's look at his game-tying homer to lead off the third. Brought to you by StatCast, powered by Amazon Web Services.
Pitch right in the middle of the plate. Look at the difference in exit velocity compared to the Zobrist home run. 107 miles an hour, gets it out there at 409 feet. But just had to feel good for Andrew McCutchen. Talked about these struggles that he has been having this year. It's still there. The talent's still there. He's dealt with a thumb. He crushed that ball in a big spot, and he's got himself another opportunity here to put his team on top.
His average right now, over 50 points off his career batting average going into this season. He's been a top 5 guy in the MVP voting each of the last 4 years. He won it in 2013. It's a strike. It's 1-1.
We talked about a lot in baseball about having players that you can market nationally. It's been a little bit of an issue for our game, and baseball is a little bit more of a localized sport. But I will tell you that for me, Andrew McCutchen may be the perfect big leaguer when it comes to that. You talk about a great player, great character on and off the field, really solid. This is the guy that really should be the face of Major League Baseball, and certainly he has done a lot of promotions for the game. But I think about building a player that I want to build my franchise around. Andrew McCutchen is that guy, and for Major League Baseball, he is that superstar that I believe they should be building and have tried to build marketing campaigns around.
One ball and 2 strikes. Last year's Roberto Clemente Award winner, Andrew McCutchen.
Got to see him as an 18-year-old. Spent his first spring training. I was with the Pittsburgh Pirates at the time in the minor leagues, and you see this 18-year-old kid coming in, 11th overall pick. You never know what's going to happen with high school hitters. They're so difficult to project. You can see tools, but they're so young, and you don't know what's going to happen when they start facing big league hitting. And credit the scouting department and the people behind picking Andrew McCutchen, because they got themselves a really good one when they took him 11th overall in 2005.
In the left of the base hit. 1 run is in. Here comes Mercer. The throw by Bryant up the line and late. It is a 2-run single for McCutchen. Pirates lead again, 7-5.
Back-to-back great at-bats here for Andrew McCutchen after that double play you mentioned. They want to elevate, and the ball was up there, maybe not quite enough. When you're going out of the strike zone, you've got to make sure that you get it all the way up there. Andrew McCutchen able to get on top of that fastball, square it up, drive it into left field. And Chris Bryant might have had a shot at Jordy Mercer if this throw was a little bit online. But how about the excitement from Andrew McCutchen? Obviously important because he puts his team on top, but I think also you see some of the frustration of his year and how things have gone, and certainly thrilled to come through big right here for the Pirates.
Multiple runs in each of the last 3 frames for the Pirates. Gong takes a pitch inside. That was Joe Madden when he was managing the Tampa Bay Rays a few years ago. It was what he called a meaningless spring training game. And he watched a budding superstar named Andrew McCutchen busting it down the line on a ground ball in the infield. And he said, that kid's going to be around for a while. Really impressed him. One and one.
Which sounds so simple, doesn't it? Just a guy that runs hard. Why is that a big deal? Because in an era where the game and people are kind of promoting themselves and can be more about themselves and their brand, that we don't always see that all the time. And what used to be the norm now sticks out a little bit more than it used to. But especially when you're a young player, you're first going through those couple of spring trainings, you can make an impression on coaching staffs, on your organization, by being that kind of player.
There has been 1 half inning for each team in which they haven't scored. The Pirates were blanked in the first, Cubs in the second. That's it.
You mentioned who was going to be the first to throw out a reliever that might give you the 2 shutout innings. Thought there might be that chance that it'd be Adam Warren. Obviously not going to be the case, and it's going to have to be somebody. This game has to end sooner or later. Maybe it'll be Caminero.
Two and two. Home field advantage doesn't always mean a lot. Probably rather have the more effective starting pitcher, but this is the kind of night you like to have the last crack at it.
It certainly does feel that way. A game that'll stay close. It has been so far up to this point. Could that walk-off potentially be on the table? Yeah, it does feel like this could be that kind of night.
3 and 2. Quick look at McCutchen. Now Warren to the plate, and Gong pops it up. And it's Baez to end the inning. Andrew McCutchen. He's had a huge series, and tonight a homer, and he's knocked in 2 with a single. Pirates lead by 2. A wild one in Pittsburgh. 7-5 Pirates. We get into the 5th inning, and Javier Baez went around. Another relief pitcher might get an at bat in this game. Adam Warren is on deck.
If you're a fan of the shutdown inning, you might not be enjoying this game as much. We talk about that a lot of times. Team takes the lead, come back and try to shut them down, but we've already seen the Cubs give up the lead a couple of times, and really on both sides of the ball. We're just waiting for that one pitcher. Who's it going to be? The Pirates just scored 2. They retake the lead 7-5, and now it becomes about Caminero trying to shut this offense down, getting the momentum going in one direction here for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Time for a game break. Here's Eric Karros in Los Angeles.
Pitcher, Adam Warren.
EK, thank you. Adam Warren swings and fouls. So the National League East looks like this as the Nationals and Mets matching up this weekend going into the All-Star break. The Miami Marlins very much in the mix as well. Last year you had all three of the top teams from the National League Central make it. Cardinals were a 100-game winner. The Pirates won 98, finished second. The Cubs 97 wins, finished third, and got to the NLCS.
I think this year things will be a little bit more spread out, a little bit more even. I don't know if we're going to see 2 wild cards coming out of the National League Central this year. Pretty good chance I think we'll see one maybe come out of the East or the West at least. Dodgers have their issues. The Mets have their issues right now, and so everybody has their question marks. It becomes a matter of who gets those answered right now. I do like the Pirates as a potential wild card team. It's always hard and difficult to count out the Cardinals because of the consistency and the history, and they got a lot of track records there, even though they've gotten off to a little bit of a slower start than expected. This will be good down to the wire. The wild card for me has been very good for baseball, and it's races like this, like we've had in the past, and like we're going to have again in 2016.
And if you're Clint Hurdle, you'd rather have the wild card than nothing. But that one and done scenario has been in play for the Pirates each of the last 3 years. I think 1 and 2 in those games.
I think they're growing tired of it. I think their fan base is growing tired of it as well.
So 2 outs. The Chicago Cubs got off to a 47-20 start, and at that time had by far the best record in all of baseball. They've dropped 14 of 19, so their 12.5 game lead has gone down to 7.5 as we near the break.
No need to panic. I know there's a lot going on right now in the Windy City, and when you haven't won a World Series in what 108 years, you cannot count on anything, and so you start to see your team struggle a little bit. But I will tell you this: I know John Lester did not pitch well tonight. We know we've seen Jake Arrieta struggle a little bit, but these are track records. These are guys that have gotten it done before. These are guys that have pitched big games. Throw John Lackey in there as well, and so the middle of the top of that rotation for me, 1 through 3, is going to be fine, and they're too good not to get this thing turned around. They'll get to the All-Star break. They'll get things done. And this team should be fine. I can't imagine the Pittsburgh Pirates or the St. Louis Cardinals challenging them for the division.
And getting Dexter Fowler back shortly after the All-Star break will be very important. Again, he is not going to participate in the All-Star game. He played last night in a rehab assignment game in South Bend, Indiana, as the DH. And just nothing went wrong. He just kind of felt like, I don't think I'm going to be ready in time.
You certainly don't want to push it, right? That's not the right time to do that. Dexter Fowler, as we're realizing this year, is an integral part of this team. It's incredible to think that they almost did not sign him back when they originally signed Jason Hayward. It seemed like Jason Hayward was going to play center field. You compare these two guys, and yes, Dexter Fowler's a little bit older, but you go look at the last 3 seasons of Dexter Fowler and Jason Hayward, and it made a ton of sense for them to bring him back.
Well, Caminero just fanned the side. It's 7-5 Pittsburgh. Cialis. Gorgeous night here in Pittsburgh. We might have a packed house here at PNC Park. The Pirates lead the Cubs 7-5. Bucks trying to get back in the NL Central race on the first place team. Cardinals already won today. Adam Warren to Starling Marte, strike one.
So even with the Cubs struggling, they get off to the great start. Everyone else falls behind. It was more about the Cubs and not necessarily how bad other teams were playing, although the Cardinals and the Pirates went through some streaks that they would rather forget. Becomes so difficult for these teams. So now you think about the second half for the Pittsburgh Pirates. They can't falter. If they want any chance at all, they're trying to win this division. They cannot do what they did. We showed it earlier, the 6-20 over a 26-game stretch. And during the process now here, they're going to be asking some young pitchers to contribute because they've had some issues in the rotation. Yes, they're going to get Garrett Cole back, and that's going to be very important. Jamison Tyone will come off the DL. He has been an interesting guy to watch. Tyler Glasnow as well. They got some young pitchers that are going to be expected to contribute, and they're not going to be able to afford very many misses and any bad streaks if they're going to try to catch the Cubs.
Warren's 1-2 is low. Speaking of Garrett Cole, we were scheduled to talk to Garrett during this game, but he had to leave early for a rehab assignment outing for Indianapolis. They're in Columbus.
Garrett Cole obviously doesn't have his priorities straight. An opportunity to sit and talk with us, but instead he would rather continue his rehab and try to get ready for his team.
If we had Garrett Cole on, I think one of the questions we would have asked him would be about that wild card game. He was a starter and loser to Jake Arrieta in this ballpark last October. And if the Pirates are in that spot again, you know Garrett Cole will want the ball.
Of course he will, and that's great grooming for a guy that you expect to be an ace. And then you go back to the year before when Madison Bumgarner shut that team out. The last two wild card games, the Pirates had not scored a run, and they've run into other teams' aces. But for a guy like Garrett Cole to go up against other aces in a winner take all or you go home, it's a great opportunity for a kid to grow.
Marte with the leadoff walk. And with Marte making the All-Star team now 6 consecutive years, the Pirates have had at least 2 All-Stars. Mark Melancon, their closer, is also headed to San Diego. StatCast powered by Amazon Web Services. Sean Rodriguez with a long home run to give the Pirates a lead in the third. One of how many leads?
I think I'm losing count. Cubs had, I guess they technically, they had 2 leads. It was 2-0 and then 4-3. They let get away from them, and then the tie game they let get away from them when it was 5-5. So I guess we can't count the tie game as giving up a lead necessarily.
Cubs have led 2-0 and 4-3. There goes Marte, and he is safe. 28th steal on the year. He kind of epitomizes this offense. The things he does well are really what the Pirates do well.
So many things that Starling Marte does well. You mentioned it, 28 stolen base. Not a huge power guy, but he's hit 19 home runs in the past, got 6 this year. Plays really good defense. Just a really solid all-around player. We just don't see it as much. We don't see nearly as many stolen bases as we used to in Major League Baseball, and you see him at second right now in the National League. This guy's a good player, and he's been highly underrated, I think, in the game. Think about what he's been doing for the last 4 years now in left field for the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's great to see him get the All-Star nod, even if it is as a fill-in. He's an All-Star. He should have been. It's well deserved, and he'll get some national attention, some much deserved national attention in San Diego next week.
There's that small game that he plays so well. 1 strike to Rodriguez, who's walked and homered. So McCutcheon's had the big night. He's kind of been their superstar the last few years. Marte going to the All-Star game this year. But their best player has probably been Gregory Polanco, at least offensively.
And we haven't got a chance to see him yet. He didn't get the start dealing with the hamstring, but also with John Lester going tonight. So it made a lot of sense to give him the night off. What a year it has been for Gregory Polanco. Last couple of years we saw him. He gets his time up, comes up with a lot of fanfare, a lot of attention paid to prospects. Expectations were really high. Didn't quite meet those expectations right away, and that's okay. You can't expect a kid to come up and be great, but this year he has been great, and there have been some adjustments for him. Experience is so important. You hear a lot of great things about what kind of kid he is and character. We hear that thrown around a lot, but Gregory Polanco, after signing the team-friendly deal, that probably took a little bit of the pressure off for him. Now here he is, just having a terrific season for the Pirates.
You can hear in the background, the bicentennial fireworks show has started in Pittsburgh.
As long as it's not thunder.
No, I think we're all right. Oh, 2 on Rodriguez. He might not want the All-Star break. The way he's swinging the bat. High, it's 1-2.
Clint Hurdle had a pretty funny comment when we were talking to him about Polanco, and he said, you know, told our front office, can you just go ahead and give every one of our young players $30 million? And was Polanco that signed a 5 for 35 that actually starts next year in 2017 and will run through 2021. But the point being, of course, that it takes off some of the pressure. Andrew McCutchen signed team-friendly deal as well. Starling Marte, and he's saying that, well, just every young guy, we just give them $30 million and take all the pressure off. There certainly would not be any objection, I don't think, amongst the players, but there is something to be said about that pressure. But the flip side of that, Josh Harrison last year got his team-friendly deal. It was a 4 for 27. He actually got off to a slow start after signing that deal, and Clint Hurdle believed that he thought what he saw in Josh Harrison was a guy who felt like he had to play better because he signed the deal, and he wasn't comfortable with just who he'd been as a player, but he's trying to be better than who he was, and eventually he got comfortable and had a really nice second half. So people handle the contracts different ways.
Called strike 3 for out number 1. They had to work for it.
Sean Rodriguez did not like a call earlier in this at bat, a fastball that was in off the plate, and he might have had an argument. This one for me, though, right on the corner, just a little bit of a cutter, slider. Good location. Not much he was going to be able to do with that pitch anyway.
Here's Matt Joyce. Came on as a pinch hitter for Harrison in the 3rd inning. Do not have an update on Harrison. And again, got hit by a pitch with the bases loaded in the 2nd. So Joyce will get the intentional walk with Fryer on deck. There's ball 3.
The idea here being that go after Eric Fryer, try to get that double play, set up your force outs 3rd.
A reminder, tomorrow, final round play at the 71st U.S. Women's Open from Cordoval Golf Club. The best female golfers in the world look to stamp their names in the history book. Coverage begins at 3 p.m. on your local Fox station, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Pitching coaches are wearing out a path between the dugouts and the mound tonight, huh?
They certainly are, and this becomes again about the strategy. Eric Fryer had a base hit in his last at bat, and you have to find a way to get him out here. Do not let him advance runners, because then you go to Caminero, who's still batting in the pitcher spot, and you get that opportunity based on what we saw in his first at bat that you feel pretty good about. His inability to produce something, or at least make the Pirates use somebody off the bench, get Caminero out of the game, who has been pitching very well, struck out the side in the last inning. So all of that goes into the thoughts here for Joe Maddon and why he decides to walk Matt Joyce.
So 1st and 2nd, and Fryer makes strike 1. Second go round for Fryer as a Pirate. You asked Clint Hurdle a pretty good question about just, you know, these catchers Fryer and Kratz learning the pitching staff, and he said we've got a pretty good infrastructure built in because we've had a lot of catchers come and go. Fryer was here in 2011 and 2012.
So they were familiar with him, which helps. But replacing both of your catchers in the middle of the season is a near impossible task. You think about spring training and why is it so important is because you're spending time learning your pitchers. Lots of conversations between the pitchers and catchers and getting comfortable. And sometimes you're also using the beginning of the season to do that. Well, now you bring guys right in the middle when it becomes critical, where there is no hi, get to know you, tell me what you're about. You need to perform right away. And so they were happy with Eric Fryer from their previous experience. They felt very lucky to get their hands on Erik Kratz. And for the most part, they have not missed much of a beat.
Fouled out of play. Francisco Cervelli taking some batting practice before the game. That would be a key addition in the second half as well. He's coming back from a broken hamate bone in his left hand. He got a 3-year extension in May.
3 years, $31 million. He's a fun guy to watch. And you think about the Pirates at times, seems like they just kept taking Yankee catchers. First it was Russell Martin, Francisco Cervelli, even Stewart, the backup, all guys that had just previously spent some time with the New York Yankees. Cervelli has really taken on a leadership role with this team, and there's multiple guys that do it, but plays the game with such passion. Does a great job behind the plate. Lots of energy. Not an easy thing to do when you're behind the dish over the course of a long major league season, but this guy never quits.
Still 2-2. There have been some long at bats in this game, both sides. Cubs have used Lester and Warren. Pirates Kuhl, Nicasio, and Caminero. We're only in the 5th inning. Now time called. Josh Bell on deck. He would hit for Caminero right after his major league debut.
Now Contreras is going to want to talk about it here with Adam Warren. You want to make sure you get this right. Now I can appreciate a young catcher that has a plan and has an idea of what he wants to do, but he probably has not seen Adam Warren that much, and Adam Warren has a plan on what he wants to do, and it's okay to go ahead and talk it over, but you also want to be careful about ruining and slowing down your pitcher's momentum. And again, it's nice to be assertive as a young guy, but I'll take that veteran pitcher and let him decide to throw what he wants to throw.
2-2 as Marte took off for third. Again, fireworks going on over the Monongahela River right now as the city of Pittsburgh celebrates its 200th birthday.
Can you spell that?
Bicentennial or Monongahela?
Bicentennial. I'd have a chance at that one.
Right.
It ends there for me.
Oh, that deflects off the pitcher Warren. Russell will barehand throw, safe at first. And the bases are loaded.
No immediate reaction here from Adam Warren outside of the fact that he's frustrated. It looked like he's telling the trainer to stay put. The trainer will still be coming out there. We'll see. They're trying to, but no, he says he's fine. He turned his back and really did not even hardly wince at all. Always a scary moment here for a pitcher when a ball comes back up the box, but he turned around. I think it might have caught him on the right side, maybe his lat. I'm actually surprised Joe Maddon did not continue to go out there, because a lot of pitchers don't want to talk to the trainer. They don't want to talk to the manager. They just want to keep going, but sometimes you got to protect guys from themselves.
Josh Bell has seen one major league pitch and he's batting 1,000. Major league debut last night. He fouls away. Came up as a right fielder and then moved to first base in the Arizona Fall League in 2014. He was putting up huge numbers at AAA Indianapolis. Career .309 minor league batting. In the dirt.
What I love about this kid, what we've seen so far, and it's just 2 at-bats, right? I don't want to overreact, but he's pinch hitting in both of them. And good pinch hitters know to go after a pitch early. You do not want to get deep in the count. You're not in the flow of the game. Lenny Harris, the most pinch hits in Major League Baseball. Play with him. Mark Sweeney, #2. I've worked with them. They understand that. You get deep in the count when you're pinch hitting, and a lot of times you're setting yourself up for a strikeout, and so you try to jump on something early. And we've seen that from Josh Bell twice.
Towering drive deep to right, way out of here, and it may have ended up in the river. A grand slam for Bell. He might want to retire.
The reaction was priceless from Josh Bell. He knew it right away. I asked Clint Hurdle before the game, is there any way this kid stays here? He said he's only here for 3 days. He's only coming off the bench. And I said, what if he just kills it and does great? He says, it doesn't matter. I won't believe it until I see it. You don't tell me that a kid comes from AAA, has seen 4 pitches in the big leagues, and he's got a base hit and a grand slam under his belt. This is an exciting moment here for this Pittsburgh Pirates organization, and certainly for Josh Bell.
He gets the curtain call. 2 for 2 to start his major league career. He has set the bar very high. Wow. Just shy of the river, back on that concourse behind the right field stands. So people watching the fireworks, maybe a half a mile away, are going, what's going on at the ballpark? Towering shot, Jordy Mercer. That one is gone. 12-5.
This is amazing to watch right now, what we're seeing from the Pittsburgh Pirates, who have been playing so well as of late. They come into this one winning 8 of 9, and you think about Adam Warren on the other side going back and forth from the starting rotation to the bullpen. It's not an ideal position to be in, and look at this fastball sitting right in the middle of the plate, and Adam Warren knew it right away as soon as that pitch came out of his hands.
It's not an easy area to hit the ball out of the yard. You'd start getting between 379 and 410 at north side notch area. And the Pirates go back-to-back for the 4th time this season. So some separation here in what had been a seesaw battle. This one will be handled by Hayward. Off the bat of Freeze, 2 outs.
What do you think? I mean, is there any way he stays here? I know that they've committed to 3 days on the bench.
Clint
Give him an opportunity.
Clint said no.
Tell you what, it has been an impressive 2 at-bats. Again, it's only 2 at-bats. Teammates are absolutely loving it here. Josh Bell's a big kid. We showed it during his at-bat, 245 pounds. There's some thunder in that bat, and it seems like a real mature swing as well. Mature approach. It is incredible to see 2 at-bats. The kid have a game plan and execute a game plan so well at the plate.
The way you asked the manager today, and you pressed him a little bit, feels like you kind of had a premonition something was going to happen tonight. 1-1 on McCutchen.
Moments that you never ever forget. Your first hit, your first home run. What a huge one for Josh Bell. Great memory. Look at that smile, ear to ear, just absolutely enjoying the moment. He doesn't want to go back to Indianapolis. He has no desire. Indianapolis is a lovely place to play AAA. It's a beautiful ballpark. Spent a lot of time there, but it is not PNC and it is not the big leagues. Josh Bell's going to do what he can to try to make this a very difficult decision for the Pirates.
Big night for McCutchen. A homer and a 2-run single. A roller to third. Baez, long throw, and he gets him. But the Pirates put up a 5 spot in the 5th and now lead 12-5. Is sponsored by T-Mobile, bringing you greater coverage of tonight's game, and by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. Fireworks night in Pittsburgh, literally and figuratively. Look at that, 3, 2, 2, and 5 run innings. Josh Bell still beaming from a pinch hit grand slam.
He's going to wake up smiling. That doesn't go away anytime soon. What an awesome moment for that young man, and Pirates fans daydreaming right now about what could be. Yes, they're still in contention this year, but the future is looking really bright. Josh Bell, the young starters that we mentioned earlier. Think about this too. If you're running this organization, you're part of the player development department here, and you're seeing these guys get their opportunities, and they've already seen the first wave with McCutchen and Marte and Polanco, and here come the second wave now, getting an opportunity to show what they can do at the big league level. You have to be beaming as well. There's got to be a lot of pride here for that player development office here with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Jay Schugel has had a nice year working to Chris Bryant. We said who's going to be the first reliever to go 2 scoreless. Well, Archimedes Caminero came close, an inning and 2/3, kind of settled the game down for the Pirates pitching staff. And then the big 5-run inning.
These two guys just a couple of weeks ago teammates with the Indianapolis Indians, Jameson Taillon and Josh Bell, both saying, I don't want to go back.
Bryant, Rizzo, and Zobrist. There's still a long way to go. We're only in the 6th inning. Tapped foul by Bryant. Bit of a homecoming for him on Tuesday. Went to University of San Diego. He's from Las Vegas. Have a lot of family and friends at the All-Star game. His dad threw to him last year in the Home Run Derby. He will not participate this year.
I'm okay with that decision. There has been some criticism from people saying you got to participate, 25 home runs. Well, we see what happens. Jock Peterson last year, 22 home runs going into the break, finds himself in the finals of the Home Run Derby. Hits 6 the rest of the way. Is it because of the Home Run Derby? No, not necessarily, but You think about trying to hit a ball as far as you can over the course of a couple hours, and it's going to wear you out. And Chris Bryant's locked in right now. He doesn't want to take the chance of getting out of that zone that he has been in by participating in that exhibition.
Leadoff walk for Bryant. I think the other thing for him, and Anthony Rizzo made the same decision this year, is to kind of maybe take a breath and sit back and enjoy it a little bit.
Sure.
That's a lot of work when you're doing the Derby and then playing in the game the next night. We've already seen, by the way, 250 pitches in this game as we play the 6th inning. For Rizzo, he returns to a place where he didn't have a lot of success early on. That's Petco Park. Really struggled his first go around with the Padres before he got traded to the Cubs. So Eric Fryer's heading out and telling his pitcher, throw strikes, young man. Got a 7-run lead. But you can tell the world that it's easier said than done.
Absolutely. I know. You're talking to a guy who struggled to throw strikes throughout his career, and you're in these moments and you're thinking it's 12-5. Just fill up the zone. Let them put the ball in play. Keep the game moving. It's not always an easy thing to do. And right now, your catcher trying to coach you through it a little bit, making sure there's nothing there mentally. And that's why you want to be a little bit careful when you're throwing strikes.
Rizzo banks it off the out-of-town board. Bryant to third. He'll be held by Gary Jones. It's a long single. And the Cubs kicking up their heels here. First and third, nobody out.
That's what happens when you split the play with a fastball, and that's why you don't just want to throw strikes down the middle, especially to this lineup. This lineup is so dangerous. And best in the National League, probably second best in baseball behind the Boston Red Sox. And yeah, 7-run lead should be safe, but at the same time, there's still 4 innings here left to play. This is the kind of team that can put together an offensive run and make Clint Hurdle just a little bit more nervous tonight.
How about the night Rizzo's had? He flied to the warning track in right, tripled, doubled in a run, and now singles off the board in right.
Just imagine if that first one had gotten out of here, we'd be looking at, what do you call it, the backward cycle where you go home run, triple, double, single, right? Rajai Davis just did that recently for the Cleveland Indians in a loss. Obviously, the cycle is still in play. Just needs the home run.
Again, a long fireworks show here in downtown Pittsburgh as they celebrate their 200th birthday. A strike on Zobrist. And it's 2-1. I heard, I did not see it with my own eyes, that the Stanley Cup was in downtown Pittsburgh
is that right?
In the bicentennial parade. Pittsburgh Penguins, Stanley Cup winners. I've seen it before. Have you seen the cup?
I have never gotten close to it. No,
impressive.
never seen it. What a cool tradition they have in hockey. We'll use something like that in our game. That each guy gets to spend, what, a day with it in the offseason, essentially. That's a really cool tradition.
3-1 the pitch. Zobrist bounces to first. Throw goes to second for 1. And they turn it. It goes 3-6-3. That is a big double play for Sugar. A run scores. It's 12-6, but the Pirates will gladly take that exchange.
Good play here by Matt Joyce. Great awareness. This ball was hit right to him. And thinking right away, watch him here as he's coming off the bag. A lot of guys will actually step on the bag there. He does not. A really good turn on that 3. Oh, excuse me, David Freese. I said Matt Joyce, pardon me. A really good job here by David Freese. That's big. That is big. When you're trying to go through the middle of this lineup, you got a couple of guys on base, you'll gladly exchange that run for 2 outs.
Zobrist will not get an RBI because of the double play. So base is empty, 2 gone for Contreras. Sounds like the fireworks finale.
I could see the reflection off one of the buildings out past left field, but that's all I got. So it is happening right behind the stadium. Happy 200th birthday, Pittsburgh.
Oh, 2. Called strike 3 on the inside corner. Midway in the 6th, Pirates 12, Cubs 6. Eight sluggers, 3 rounds, 1 clock. Don't miss the T-Mobile Home Run Derby on ESPN July 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern. We've got a mini home run derby tonight. Ben Zobrist hit the first one, but the Pirates have answered back with 4 of their own, including a pinch hit grand slam from Josh Bell. Spencer Patton is a new pitcher facing Jung Ho Kang. He fouls out of play.
This turns into one of those nights when you're sitting in the bullpen for a team like the Cubs and you see what's happening. Phone starts to ring, hoping it's not going to be your name, because it just seems like everything that can go wrong right now for these Cubs pitchers has, and not to take anything away from the Pirates because they're swinging the bats extremely well in this game.
From the stretch with nobody on. Patton to the plate. It bounces up there. Munenori Kawasaki, just joining the Cubs roster from AAA Iowa, has come in to play second. Another former teammate of yours.
Mune, we spent a couple of seasons together, 2007, 2008, playing for the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks. He is exactly the same guy that you've seen here in the United States. Just tons of energy, great teammate. A lot of fun. Got a chance to see him today. It's the first time I've seen him in 8 years. Loved watching his success that he's had here and just how fans have really. Well, there's me and Jung Ho Kang, who's another teammate of mine from the Nexen Heroes, who's hitting right now. Not a worldly experience. I can't complain. This game has taken me to some interesting places.
You've been everywhere, man.
And there's Mune right there. It's me giving him a high five. There's Mune right there. There's me when I had a beard. It was pretty brutal. Did not work out very well. We had just won the International League Championship. And in Japan, I don't know if they still do this, but at the time, the winner of Interleague, the way they did, we played Interleague at the same time, whoever had the best record, that team won $500,000. Wow. Which was pretty neat. And then what they do, the organization would get half of it, and then the players amongst themselves would split $250,000. You just get an envelope with some cash. It's pretty cool.
Great incentive.
It's tip money for big leaguers these days over here. But in Japan, that was some pretty big cash.
Marte has scored twice. Pirates failed to score in the first inning. And they haven't scored fewer than 2 runs in an inning since. And it has put a hurting on Jon Lester and Adam Warren's earned run average. Lester gave up 5 in 3 innings. Warren 7 runs in 2 innings.
Today was a big surprise for me from Jon Lester because we talked about it. Bad outing last time. A veteran pitcher who's been through it, has had rough outings, never won quite as that bad. We believe that's the worst of his career, but you expect the bounce back from a guy, and he just never really could get into a groove. He had a point there in the second inning where he had back-to-back strikeouts and looked like he had worked his way out of it, but the uncomfortableness continued. The command on the cutter was not there for Jon Lester. I'm sure he is excited as anybody to get to that All-Star break and reset when everybody gets back and continuing his second half.
3-0 is a strike. For a time there, it looked like Lester might be the National League's left-handed specialist. When you look at the pitching staff, I saw Drew Pomerantz, an injury replacement, but a pretty right-handed dominant. Line and caught by Baez. Our Grip the Moment, sponsored by Falcon Tires, the official tire of Major League Baseball. I would say Josh Bell has gripped the moment this weekend.
He has taken full advantage of just 2 big league at-bats. 2 for 2 with a grand slam, the base hit yesterday off of Jake Arrieta. Said it earlier, a moment he will never forget, and he knew it right off the bat, and he enjoyed it. And he has been ear to ear smiling since.
Rodriguez with a soft liner that's caught by Rizzo to end the inning. First time the Pirates haven't scored since the first, but they've got a 6-run lead. Pirates with a 12-6 lead as we get into the 7th inning tonight. Hey, follow live baseball with the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day. Live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. fifth Pirate pitcher to work tonight. It is Jared Hughes. And ball one to Jason Heyward. 31st appearance. And Heyward lines the other way. Marte can't get it. And Heyward will have a leadoff double.
I'll tell you, if you're looking for some positive signs from this game, if you're a Cubs fan, let the Jason Heyward at bats be that positive sign for you. We've seen it again. Look at this pitch. His outside corner, it's elevated a little bit, but that's really splitting hairs. He does a great job, and this is the second time we've seen him drive the ball to left field. We talk about this a lot when you're evaluating hitters that are struggling. When they start using the whole field a little bit better, that tells you the swing is getting right. And Jason Heyward very well may be ready to go on a tear. There's a guy who may not want to go to the All-Star break.
Russell with a runner at second. Nobody out. And ball one. Hughes started the year on the DL with a sprained left lat. Came back in late April. He's a big dude, 6'7", 245.
I don't know if they make small big league players anymore. Jose Altuve aside, it is incredible to me walking around these clubhouses and seeing guys like Corey Seager, 6'5", big, playing the shortstop position. It's incredible to see the size of these guys. And who was it that pitched the other day for the Pirates with the it wasn't Glasnow. What was it, Glasnow?
Yeah, Glasnow, right? 6'8".
Yeah, size 17 foot. Are you kidding me?
Unbelievable. Time for a game break. Eric Karros in Los Angeles. Javier Baez with one out. Fryer pounces on it. He would not take a chance here with his team down big. Afternoon game tomorrow. John Lackey for the Cubs. Lefty John Neese for the Pirates. Been reports the Pirates may be looking to move Neese. It's interesting, you know, they made some deadline deals to add some veteran pieces over the last few seasons. We've kind of talked around this. I think moves they'll make are kind of the internal moves to get some of these kids here, which we've already started to see.
And what that allows them to do potentially is move a guy like Jonathan Neese if they feel like they no longer need him in the rotation. He probably does not want to go to the bullpen. He has a couple of option years on the back end of his contract right now, and so if you can move him and maybe get a young piece, that's something you're not going to use this year. Somebody's lower prospect or an arm that maybe has some upside that's not polished. It's not a bad idea because of the depth of young starting pitching that you have right now. And the Pirates certainly could be in that position. It's subtracting some veterans and maybe opening up some spaces for younger players to get their time on the field.
One-two on the way. Pulled foul. Because you look at their roster position player wise and you don't see any glaring holes. They've got a solid bench. You can never have enough arms, but they've got depth in their organization in that area. And maybe we're starting to kind of get into that new paradigm of teams holding on to the young players and promoting them to the big leagues in July and August as opposed to trading them for veterans. Baez swings and misses, 2 outs.
Well, I think the value is there. Teams that recognize this, and great pitch that we're going to see here by Hughes. It is under the hands of Baez. We know he's a free swinger. Look at the movement on that as he swings right over the top of it. But getting back to that point, organizations think they start to understand about peaks for players and trying to get them to the big leagues a little bit quicker so that they can take advantage of those peaks. And thinking 25, 26, 27, 28 in that age right there is when they expect to get the most performance. So they'll push guys to the big leagues a little bit quicker than we've seen in the past.
Here's Kawasaki. Left-handed batting utility infielder. 35 years old. Big league time with Seattle, Toronto, and 2 games previously this year with the Cubs. He replaced Jeimer Candelario on the roster. Switch hitting third baseman. Candelario option back to AAA Iowa. It's a strike. It's 1-1.
I mentioned it earlier, just what a big deal Mune was back in Japan. Fans absolutely love him. I can't believe what you just said, that he's 35 years old, that he's got the energy of a 10-year-old, and it just never quits. He's wanted to come to the States. So many guys that I play with in Asia want that opportunity. He wanted it so bad, but get to realize a lifelong dream when he got an opportunity to be around Ichiro Suzuki. That had always been his favorite player. He'd always admired him. To get that opportunity, he'd always said Nico-chan, which was my nickname in Japan, is my dream to play with Ichiro in the United States. And he's got to be so proud of what Ichiro has accomplished, getting near 3,000 hits. A Hall of Famer here in the United States, and that whole thing about the combination of hits and the Pete Rose thing, I don't buy into that part of it, but Ichiro has had a great career, and we're looking at one of his biggest fans.
By the way, Ichiro went into play today. 2,990 major league hits. Batting .337 this year for the Marlins. Outside on a fastball, it's 3-2.
Ichiro really has turned back the clock this year. The last couple of years had not been particularly strong. It's incredible to see what he has done at his age, and he could be a Julio Franco if he wanted to. He could play deep into his 40s. He has unbelievable preparation.
Hughes with a full count pitch on one bounce to Gong, and he gets him. Stretch time from Pittsburgh. 12-6 Pirates. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Pepsi. Tell the world how you feel. Find your Pepsi emoji today. And by Samsung and the Galaxy S7 Edge. Good news for the Pirates. They're up 12-6. Bad news is they've lost a couple players due to injury. Josh Harrison with left foot discomfort. He got hit by a pitch with the bases loaded. That was in the second inning. And he would come out for a pinch hitter. Matt Joyce in the third. Joyce left the game later with some quad tightness. So the Pirates hope neither of those situations are serious. As Adam Frazier will take his first cuts against Justin Grimm.
Now, I'm with you. Nobody wants to see a player go down. Matt Joyce is an important part of this team. Josh Harrison is a huge important part of this team. But if there was that injury, there's a young man sitting in the dugout right now who has a grand slam under his belt that does not want to go back to Indianapolis after the All-Star break. And maybe that opportunity for Josh Bell would be there if one of these injuries turned out to be something significant.
Well, and Clint Hurdle did have that disclaimer at the end of his emphatic no in terms of would he stay here. He said unless there's an injury. And the one thing every manager wants to do is in regards to something that is planned 3 or 4 games or days down the road is you always leave it open to adjustments.
And I think there's even some value to telling him that's the way it is. Maybe that takes some of the pressure off of Josh Bell and saying, listen, this is just a 3-day thing. Even if he had 5 home runs in 3 days, whatever you want to tell him to help him relax a little bit if you feel like he needs it, knowing the personality. Now, I do believe it's true. This is the situation that the Pirates are in right now, but it's kind of a nice thing to hear, I guess, as a young guy. No pressure where you feel like you necessarily have to perform right away to help your team try to win a division title. So I could see the value in that.
What was Lou Gehrig told?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have the transcript, but yeah, I don't.
Well,
think,
he's only gonna.
Yeah, he needs a day.
Yeah, you never know. That's absolutely right. Fouled away.
My first call up with the Reds was you're going to fill in for a couple of starts. That was it. Got to stay for 7. If I had performed better, I would have been able to stay probably the rest of the year. Things happen over the course of the season, and you can't predict it. That's, in baseball, you think about the 162 games. It's just such a different animal when it comes to the injuries and how we work the disabled list and opportunities that open up. You just never know. And hopefully for Josh Bell, certainly got off to a great start. Maybe he's going to get a few more at-bats this year.
Now it's time for tonight's game summary, sponsored by Budweiser, and it has been a busy night. Anthony Rizzo is a homer shy of the cycle and maybe a few feet shy of a cycle as he flied deep to the warning track in his first at bat. Andrew McCutchen has had a big night and a big series, and Josh Bell same. 2 pinch hit at bats to start his career, a single last night and a grand slam tonight.
And important things too, right? You talk about Andrew McCutchen. It's important that he's had a good series. It's important that he's swinging the bat well going into the All-Star break. I mentioned Jason Hayward earlier. He's having good at-bats. That matters because they need him to get it going offensively in the second half. And then, of course, Josh Bell making an impression here early on for his team and them having a little bit more confidence. Should they need somebody a little bit longer term than what is expected? These are all significant things that have happened here in this game.
I think the other question that's very difficult to wrap your arms around is that the Cubs have had the Pirates number these last 2 years, beat them in the wild card game. They had no success against Jake Arrieta. They were 1-8 against the Cubs going into this series. They knocked Arrieta around last night, and they're leading big tonight. So while they're trailing big in this division, is there a psychological component to this series, kind of like the Pirates and the Cardinals? Remember that series going into the All-Star break last year?
No, I absolutely believe in that, and I believe in the fact that they've beaten a couple of aces as well. That's also important. Now, we'll sit there and break it down and we'll say, okay, well, what's wrong with the pitcher, right? What do we see in Jake Arrieta? What have we seen in John Lester tonight? Well, there's bats in that Pirate dugout that are saying, no, this is on us. We're the ones who beat them. They didn't beat themselves. We beat them. And so absolutely, anytime you beat the team that you're chasing, that's the value in divisional play. It's huge, but especially when you're beating the top of their rotation, that's a good confidence booster that can carry you through a few more weeks as they continue to turn things around here in Pittsburgh.
Jared Hughes takes the at bat. So let's count up pitchers who've batted tonight. Lester, Warren,
Caminero.
Nicasio. Did he get in at bat?
He did not.
He did not.
He got pinch hit for it. That's why we ended up seeing Caminero.
Yep.
We got 3 relievers that have gotten at bats tonight.
And Chad Kuhl got his first major league hit.
That's right.
We've had a little bit of everything tonight.
Joe Maddon was talking about Grimm and how important Justin Grimm is to this bullpen and trying to get him back to where he was. And so you look at this, another outing. Does it matter? It's a 12-6 blowout right now, but everything matters for these guys as they try to get that bullpen back together a little bit, back where they want it to be. There have been some struggles lately, and he looked at him as a pivotal arm. A lot of times we talk about what's happening at the back end of the bullpen. Pedro Strop, Hector Rondon, but Justin Grimm, he believes, is a very important piece and one that he wants to see get turned around so they can get that confidence, using him in big situations, getting him back on track.
Hughes stays alive. This was a tight game until the Pirates exploded for 5 in the 5th. And the pitch. Called strike 3. What we have not yet seen tonight is a cycle, and Anthony Rizzo will have a chance at it. He's already tripled, doubled, and singled. The home run? We'll find out. (12-6), even though the Cubs have out-hit the Bucks 12-9. Pittsburgh with 4 home runs. McCutchen, Rodriguez, Bell, and Mercer. Bell's was a grand slam off the bench. Matt Caesar will pinch hit. So Archimedes Caminero went 1 2/3 and did not give up a base runner. And while he was in the game, the Pirates took the lead, so he could get the win tonight. And you'd have to say he's been the most effective pitcher.
And that's what it comes down to. Anytime your starting pitcher does not go 5 and you have a lead, it is the scorer's discretion, and he decides ultimately who would get that win. And I agree, Caminero played an important part at a pivotal part of the game and was very effective at that time. So he most likely will be the guy, assuming, of course, that the Pittsburgh Pirates hold on and win this game.
One and two the count on Caesar. He's been a key member of the Cubs bench. Swing and a miss. Boy, the bottom fell out of that fastball. David Ortiz, Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, and all the baseball superstars come together for the primetime event that will light up the summer. The MLB All-Star Game from San Diego, Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox. Chris Bryant will be there, along with 6 of his teammates. Dexter Fowler will not be able to participate due to injury. Cubs will have the entire starting National League infield. Only time that's happened in an All-Star game, one team, the entire infield, since the '63 Cardinals.
Well, it's an amazing feat, and certainly a credit to the Chicago Cubs. See, the fans got it mostly right. I think the one spot I think that can be disputed is probably the shortstop position in the National League. Corey Seager has been so good this year. Brandon Crawford. It's not a knock on Addison Russell, but that position is really deep. It's probably not there amongst the top 3 or 4. But that's the fans' right. That's what they do, and you can put that on the other fan bases for not getting their guy in there.
Top vote getter in the entire National League will come up with a shot at a cycle. The last Cub to hit for the cycle was Mark Grace against the Padres May 9th, 1993, and the last to do it on the road, Billy Williams, sweet swinging Billy Williams, in 1966.
Wow.
And the Cubs' last road trip, Chris Bryant did something no major leaguer had ever done. Man, this is deep. Left field corner, he's got a chance. And it's off the wall as Marte thought that ball might get into the stands. He was trying to steal a home run, but it hit the wall and he came up just short of a cycle. Oh, so close. What a night he's had.
Starling Marte's frustrated he didn't catch it. Anthony Rizzo maybe a little frustrated that this ball did not get out of there. I'll tell you off the bat, I didn't think it had much of a chance, but you start to get down to that left field corner where the wall starts to come in and you hear somebody screaming for that ball to go. I think Marte thought this ball was a little bit farther than it actually was. Does a great job of scaling the wall, but was off a little bit.
CJ, he missed a home run by what? A half a foot?
Maybe, and I will tell you what, I still think the ball that he hit in the first inning, he hit harder. The ball just was not carrying very well in the beginning of the game.
Zobrist bounces to first, and that will end the inning. Rizzo almost made history. Still 12-6 Pirates. Telecast is sponsored by Dell and by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Baseball night in America on Fox from Pittsburgh, and the Pirates have a 12-6 lead here in the last of the 8th. Anthony Rizzo came oh so close to the first Cubs cycle in 23 years. Mercer went around. Hector Rondon is the Cubs closer. Just getting an inning of work tonight with his team down big. One and one. Mercer homered his last time up. Fouled into the upper deck. The Pirates with their third sellout of the season tonight. 37,796.
If you're wondering why Hector Rondon is pitching right now, he's only pitched twice in July so far, and Joe Maddon was actually just having this conversation with us about trying to keep guys fresh, not overworked, but also making sure they're not underworked either.
A pretty neat moment. We almost had a cycle as Rizzo to the opposite field hit one off the top of that short wall. Starling Marte nearly caught it. Would have been fun if it had deflected off his glove into the seats, but didn't happen. And then after the inning, two all-star teammates and Andrew McCutchen having a little fun with it.
I think he was looking for a little help. That could have been a Jose Canseco moment maybe there for Marte, and maybe that's why one way you could help your all-star teammate out, help him get that cycle that he would like to have had.
97, but downstairs on David Freese.
You know, this conversation so often about closers and non-save situations. We've seen a lot of guys struggle. Rondon is just getting some work in right now, trying to stay sharp. Joe Maddon knows he'll have him tomorrow if he needs him. He gets a low strike call that had not been there earlier in the game. We talked about that strike pitch. John Lester was complaining about it. Chad Kuhl as well. But 12-6, a little deeper in the game, and maybe Larry Vanover opening it up just a little bit. I think Marte's telling Rizzo, man, you need to get to the weight room. A little bit further. Andrew McCutchen getting a good laugh as well. Maybe making fun of Marte just overrunning that ball a tiny bit. Tell me, you want to hit a home run, hit it out the right field.
I'm also wondering if Rizzo said, hey guys, did you realize I had a triple double single? Because sometimes in the middle of a game like this, players are the last to know.
Absolutely.
You know, Anthony knows that he had a legitimate cycle opportunity. Now, I've heard stories of pitchers not sure they're throwing no-hitters. I cannot believe that. But yeah, every once in a while something historic happens, and only later do you find out. I was going to mention earlier, Chris Bryant in Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago hit 3 homers and 2 doubles. That had never been done in the history of the game. Ever.
And you would think, I mean, it's a great night, of course, but was it that great of a night where it had never happened? You would not think that at all. Chris Bryant just having that great year, but you talk about total bases for a game. What do you have, 19 that day, if I'm not mistaken? What's my math? Not that great? 18? He was one short of the record, right? Sean Green has the record at 19. So 12 and 4, yeah, 16.
16 total bases.
Well,
5 straight strikeouts now for Cubs pitching. But could be too little too late tonight. Here's McCutchen. Referenced Grimm, who struck out the side in the 7th. It's a blowout game, but they're trying to get him straightened out. I think the other thing for the Cubs tonight here late, CJ, is that Wilson Contreras gets to catch a lot of pitchers, and every inning he catches very valuable.
Absolutely. I mean, that is a silver lining. That's just not making something up. This is a kid who's trying to play catch up. First of all, hasn't been catching that long. Certainly has not caught very much major league level pitching. And so he's getting to know this staff a little bit better. And had a conversation with Adam Warren, figuring out what he wanted in a certain situation and picking up on those tendencies. And also the psychological part. When you're a catcher, you also have to be a psychologist to pitchers and talk guys through things and see where they are and give them a little bit of confidence when they're struggling, and be firm with a pitch that you know is the right one to throw in a situation, and feeling that out and feeling your pitchers out is very important. As I wonder about David Ross coming off of the 7-day DL and what the Cubs are going to do with their catching situation. Right, they have Miguel Montero, they have Contreras, who's swinging the bat, can also play other positions. And David Ross, will they continue to carry 3? Will somebody be on the move? There's a lot of potential options here. Wow.
Called strike 3. McCutchen is out. We head to the 9th. Pirates 12, Cubs 6. Get the old-fashioned 3-inning save. Facing Wilson Contreras. And he just fouled one off his lower leg or foot. And we'll take a little walk.
We were having that conversation with Joe Madden about the save and wondering about what it does to managers and how sometimes it pigeonholes them because their closer wants the save, but sometimes in a 4-run game you kind of want your best arm out there, and sometimes you want your best arm a little bit earlier in the game. So it really kind of puts guys into a corner sometimes because of the save. And would it be easier to manage the game without it? I think just about every manager would tell you yes.
So there's Scott Contreras. Big toe.
That stings a little bit. No getting around it.
Always feel a little bit worse for catchers when they do that because they take such a beating as it is behind the plate. One painful strike on Contreras. It's by everybody. The producer of tonight's game, Jeff Gowan. Our director, Jim Lynch. The associate director, Andy Kavanaugh. Broadcast associate, Mike Strack. Technical producer, Ann Keith. Our technical director, Michael Nice. Topped foul.
A lot of times when you're facing a guy and he fouls that ball in, especially if you throw a good sinker down and in righty on righty, it's never a bad idea to go back in there because you know he's probably going to be a little bit tentative. We saw Jared Hughes actually go away. You know this is still bothering Contreras. He can still feel it. He's thinking, if I see another one of those pitches in, we're about to see here, he may not swing at it. He does. Not scared.
Still wincing as he gets ready for a 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Well, Andrew McCutchen took a called third to end the bottom of the 8th. He thought it might have been down a little bit, and you had mentioned pitchers were not getting that call earlier in the game. So
we didn't see it.
Watch McCutchen.
Love the reaction. Roll the eyes, look back, swing the pitching wedge, talking to his teammates. The only way I'm hitting that pitch is if I got a golf club. But he handled it really well. Think about sometimes not having the greatest season. You get frustrated by something like that. It was the 335th pitch of the game, and Larry Vanover had seen enough, and it is time to start opening the zone. And if he had dinner reservations, I don't think he's making it anyway, but he might be trying to make a last ditch effort to get out of here.
One strike on Hayward. Way inside. Cubs feeling like they've wasted a big offensive night. 13 hits. And they trail by 6. Hughes with a 1-1. In the air. Shallow center, it's McCutchen. So the Pirates are an out away here. And their second straight win to start this series. Wasn't very long ago. They were 14 games out. And they've got a chance to draw within 6.5 of the lead as Russell swings and misses. June 29th. There were 14 games out of first. It's low. 1-1. Cubs were 12.5 up on the division before this stretch. And we've seen them lose 14 of 19 and could be 15 out of 20. Swing and a miss. 1-2. Two and two.
That was an outside chance. Larry Vanover might raise his right arm. Call strike 3 on that slider in the dirt. Seems to be getting to that moment for him. And we're just teasing and having good fun, and a little tight early, and certainly contributed maybe to some of the length of this game.
Chopper foul into the Pirate dugout. A lot of fans heading back over to downtown Pittsburgh. The Clemente Bridge.
Such a cool shot that we get to see from the booth that you just don't get to see anywhere else.
Bounce to third, and Gong cannot handle it. And Russell is on with 2 outs.
The ball was hard hit, and it ate up Jung Ho Kang, and this is the second time we have seen him tonight get caught up in an in-between hop. Unfortunately, he's unable to snag that one at third. A natural shortstop. He was a shortstop in Korea, but since he's come over here to the Pittsburgh Pirates, they've put him at multiple positions, third, second, and even some shortstop. Not to play that one particularly well.
There's Baez. And he taps foul. Still waiting on a scoring decision. Russell takes off, and another foul. They did give Russell a base hit.
I don't know if I agree with that exactly. I think I put that one on Jung Ho a little bit more. A play that I think he would tell you that he expects to make and probably should make.
Russell runs the 0-2. This time it's Mercer on a bounce. And that's the ball game. The Pirates win a wild one tonight. Josh Bell with the big grand slam to put this one out of reach. The final score from Pittsburgh, Pirates 12, Cubs 6. We'll wrap it up after these messages.